All right. Back for another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me from his well rested time away, the big bad wolf, Herb Lewis.
Mhm. Ow.
Yeah, time away. That wolf might be growling tonight. Uh, and we will see who else pulls up. Well, this past Monday, we discussed what makes him or her insecure. So we broke down the four different attachment styles: secure attachment, avoidance attachment, disorganized attachment, and fearful attachment. If you missed the broadcast, check it out on my YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Now let's move on to tonight, October 3rd, as we discuss how has life lessons impacted you. We will focus on three areas. Number one, taking things for granted. There's always some things that we take for granted, or we should have did, or we should have appreciated, and we just keep it moving. We're gonna go a little deeper into that. Number two, you owe nothing to yourself, but you owe nothing to your younger self, but you owe everything to your present self. So basically saying stuff you did in the past, that's over with. You can't dwell on that. But what you can correct is what you could do to your present self or your future self. You owe that. You owe everything to that person. And number three, you can't talk your way into a new life. You must act your way into one. So a lot of times people, do the talking, or, I'm living that brand new life and this and that. But some of it is just talk. I like to call it JBT and just be talking. You have to act your way into it. And we know first thing is, you have to think things, and then, you'll start feeling it, and then the behaviors will kick in. But the bottom line at the end of the day, you have to put actions into this new life. All right. This should be a good broadcast that focuses on a lot of self reflection and taking a journey down your past. Please like and share our video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Come on, folks, hit the like button, and please subscribe. I'm about 9 subs away from 500, which may
All right.
not be a lot to some, but anybody who knows who does these YouTube channels, it's a grind. It's a grind unless you connect with and collab with people who got huge followings, and then they start liking your stuff. But you know me, it's just little old me, the controversial counselor. But it's taking a while to build it up, but getting halfway there. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And here we have it. We're here back for another one. Sorry to interrupt y'all Monday Night Football, but hey, if I base my scheduling on everything that comes on, shit, we'll never be able to do a damn broadcast. So, um, hey, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do and put yourself first. And we're gonna talk about that later on. So, Big Bad Wolf, you wasn't here last week. Folks was looking for you. What's good? How you feeling?
Man, y'all did a wonderful job, man, with the broadcast. I was checking it out on my way home. Toronto happens to be about where I stayed at was about the time that it took to air the broadcast. So I checked in it, and I was like, okay, you know what? They hit on a couple of very, very nice points. And one of those things I was like, you know what, we need to examine that a little bit. But more on that later. I had a fantastic time, man, and you know what? It's nothing like being in a different culture, even though it's Canada, being in a different country to give you perspective on how geographically some things change when it comes to the treatment of being a black man. Now, usually when I'm out of town, depending on where I go, Diet is my biggest concern because I'm always eating fast food because I try and stick to places that I'm familiar with, whatever the case was. So I decided to go grocery shopping. Popped in a store in the GPS, went there, picked up, and I'm looking for in the meat section, an older Caucasian woman, and I'm going to say her ethnicity in terms of country of origin was European somewhere, and I'm going to say probably Eastern European. I could be wrong in that. Approached me and asked me about some items that she was picking up. She had a dislike for things that spicy food, so she was looking at cold cuts essentially. And I'm looking at these things and I'm like, well, this stuff you want to stay away from. You don't want anything essentially that has pork or beef in it because those type of things are going to be an irritant to you. So I said, this is the type of thing you want to pick out, stick to these type of things. And I was walking away, I dogged him and I said, you know what? I said, that would have never happened in the US. I would have never been approached by an older Caucasian woman in the supermarket asking for assistance of that nature. And it gave me a different experience that I have never had in the 50 years of my life.
Where were you at?
Toronto.
Oh man, I thought you was talking. I thought you was talking like you was to another country. Okay.
And this is what I'm talking about.
Here we go.
No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna break it down
Oh,
real.
sorry, I did.
That
I'm
you know what?
sorry.
That's okay. I'm gonna break it down real succinctly
No,
for you.
I'm sorry, because when I think of Toronto and Canada, I think of our backyard. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes, and
where
here's the quick
at? I
and
thought
here's
you
the
was
thing.
talking about you went to Belize or
Hold on,
Honduras.
hold on, hold on. And here's the thing that that you have to consider: how many people can't get into our backyard?
Why?
I'm gonna let her answer the question
Why?
first.
Because everyone has a passport or some type of
That that
advanced
that
You
driver
know
that is
that ain't
not.
license,
true.
That's
You
not.
know that's
That's
not
unless,
that.
true.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
hold
That's not
on,
the question.
unless they
That's
have a felony.
okay. So how many people cannot get into our backyard?
I don't know how many people have
But
felonies.
not having a
Hold,
felony is
hold on,
not
hold on, hold on,
what?
hold on, hold on, hold on. You don't know. I'm going to tell you for a fact that less than half the
Oh Lord,
populace.
here we
Hold
go
on,
with these
hold on.
statistics.
It's
Lord.
it's not a statistic. It's an actual thing. I'm going to tell you at least half the people in Niagara Falls, New York, have never traveled to Niagara Falls, Ontario. At least half. And you want to know how I know? Because the kids in the mentoring group, parents never took them there. Why? Because they don't think it's worth it anything to go. This is why I always talk about the experience with kids. The first thing that anybody has to draw on when it comes to life and life lessons are their experiences. So if a parent doesn't have those experiences, and this is part of the reason why we're talking about the topic that we are now, if the parent doesn't have those experiences, then how can they teach their kids? And that goes with anything, whether it's finances, dealing with people of the opposite gender, or dealing with people of the same gender. Those are life lessons that can never be passed on to a kid because the parent doesn't have that experience. But parents never opened a bank account. How can they teach a kid about finances? If a parent's never owned a house, how can they teach a kid about the process about owning the house? Same thing with going to college. Any of those things. Somebody living in San Diego that goes to Tijuana, Mexico, they're in another country. Some people can't cross into Mexico. Some people can't cross into Canada. You don't even have to have a felony to not be able to cross into Canada. All you have to actually have is a DWI charge. That's not a felony.
Okay. All right.
All right. So,
So, good evening,
He set me
Shaughnessy. Good
up.
evening, Anetta. How y'all doing?
hey, hey.
All right. So, anything good with y'all? Uh, we're gonna start
Nothing
off with
new.
Shaughnessy. You haven't been around. How's school going?
School is ghetto. I quit every week. And then by the morning, I'm back.
How is school ghetto?
It's so hard.
Wow.
That's all. That is all. Just working, school, mommy, and all that at the same time. It's hard. So that's all.
Okay.
And they're
So
not in for the program that I am in. Um, C's don't get degrees. You have to get an 80 or better. Um,
Yeah.
you get a 79.4, you fail.
Hmm.
Um, and our exams are 60% of our grade. So it's hard. So yeah, that's it.
what
But I
program you in again?
in the accelerated BSN to MSN program.
Okay. Yeah, they be trying to work. They be trying to work that nursing thing.
Huh?
I said they be trying to work that nursing thing, even though it's a
Yeah.
mad shortage. But man, them requirements is crazy.
Yeah. It's a lot, but
But you can do it.
yes.
You
Yep.
got this.
Yep. I'm out for the next 5 weeks because I have two of the courses that are being we have cohorts instead of like classes. So two of them the three, I'm sorry, that are being offered this term I already have. So from when I was part-time in it. So I'm on a vacation from school for 5 weeks.
Oh, good. Enjoy that
Good.
time. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Netta, what's good with you, Miss Texas?
I'm tired. I'm here, just trying to stay alive. Ha 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 ha. Stay alive.
Mhm.
But yeah, just busy. I'm busy. You know, just tired. My two offices. It's a lot of driving. So when it's shutdown time, I'm ready to come home, kick back, and relax. I get a million offers to go places after work, and I'll be like, y'all driving here is beast. I'll be stressed. So I'm
I've
just
heard
chilling.
that. My aunt moved to Texas for a few years with her job, and she did always complain about the driving.
Mm-hmm. It's not like Buffalo. Everything in Buffalo, 15 minutes away. Everything here is 30 or more.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what
Okay,
she
so my
said.
one office is 18 minutes from my house. My second office is 54 minutes.
Wow.
But 18 minutes is really 30 minutes because of the traffic.
Traffic.
54 minutes is really an hour and a half because of the traffic.
Ugh.
So that's why when people be like, "Oh, you want to come to?"
Mm-mm.
I hope they.
So
I
I
hope
do
they. I
whatever
hope
I
they
want to
offer
do
to
on the
come get
weekend.
you.
Huh?
I hope they offer to
I
come
need a
get you.
ride.
No, people don't play about that giving you a ride, and the gas is $2.95 here. So,
Mm.
but no complaints. I guess that's why this is the highest paying salary state or whatever.
Oh, is it?
They gonna get your money.
I didn't know
In
that.
healthcare, they are the highest paying.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. That much I can attest to. Another panel member was that's down there is doing well in terms of that.
Yeah, healthcare is the highest paying down here. They everywhere. When I say it's healthcare facilities, everywhere. So
Mm.
trying to see when you ready,
Yeah.
I think
girl.
Texas is too far for me. I
They are,
think that might be
listen.
too
They
far.
registered nurses in Buffalo get paid like $35 an hour here. There. Their registered nurses here get 62.
Oh shit! I'm about to become a
Damn.
nurse. Think I could become a nurse, or am I too old?
No,
You
you're
never
not
too
too old.
old. Male
Mm-mm.
nurses are needed.
Yes, they are. There's a shortage, an extreme shortage, even more so than just your
And
regular
believe it or not,
RNs.
patients prefer male nurses versus females because they say we don't have patience.
Oh,
I can see
And
that. I
males
can
tend to
see
be
that.
more compassionate when they
They are
don't
more
touch.
compassionate
Yeah.
and they're not rough. Like you think a man will
Yep.
be rough, they're not. They're very compassionate. I work with some male nurses. They're
Is,
very nice.
isn't
They
that like
follow.
the? Isn't that like the microcosm of relationships? Man being so passionate, understanding?
Y'all ninjas
No,
be-
no, I don't think. I think we're turning into something else. But okay.
Yeah, you twisted.
No, I was just thinking because you can't put on an act like that with compassion. Like,
I mean, it's not an act because I mean they went to school for it and they clearly wanted to do it.
It's a
But
part.
what it is a lot of times, like for me personally, I prefer male doctors.
I do too.
Because women doctors tend to be rougher. They know what certain pains are and certain things are, whereas though males don't really know that, so they are more compassionate.
And they become very and don't have a woman who had kids. We become very desensitized. Okay, I know this is really bad to say. So I remember like 10 years ago. It's over
Yep.
now. I got written up for it. I'm good. So I remember about 10 years ago, this lady was in the hospital, and I was her nurse, and she was acting a fool. She was having a baby. She was just cutting up. Now, I had 4 kids, natural. I was like, I'm gonna need you to calm down. I need you to stop this now. Don't you grab my arm again. Don't you grab my wrist again. Stop. Because you are bringing your blood pressure up and you are making this more than what it needs to be. Take a deep breath, lay back, and get ready to push. She did everything, but girl, I got my boss up. She was like, she complaining about you. You were insensitive and you were cold and I really was. I probably didn't say it this nice. But I was like, girl,
I mean, sometimes you do gotta bring them on, reel them on back in, because
like,
sometimes it gets excessive. Sometimes it gets excessive.
And I had like little marks. I was like, grab my arm again.
Oh, damn.
I did like this. I was like, don't keep grabbing my arm like that.
I was just about to say, and I mean, people don't understand how often we were just joking about it in my class a couple of weeks ago, how we get beat up at work. Like we really get beat up.
Yeah.
We get beat up. People don't understand that. And I'm not talking about the day and stuff. No, we have psych patients that really beat us up. It was like 3 nurses and 2 security guards, and I swear this lady beat all of us up. She was studying all of us. And it was just like, you know what? Okay. Like, I don't know.
Nobody got time for that.
Like
now at this age, I'm gonna hit you back.
Sound like Nurse Helga. Okay, Helga.
I'm be like,
you know, I haven't ran into anybody that I think was just truly being just like maliciously just like being violent. Like everybody, it literally just happens to be a psych patient and they're really going through something and they are just strong as heck. It is just like, dang, you can't even be mad at them. You can't even, you just got to take your L. Just like, I got beat up at work today.
Darren was asking, was that at ECMC you had that incident?
She'll never tell.
Oh, I guess you can't disclose it. Or she's not going to.
I promise you I'm not.
Okay.
I still got my license in New York State.
That's going to be a no, Mr. Sneed.
Listen, I might need to come back. Don't play with me. You ain't messing up my funds.
Right.
I hear that.
Then you gonna try to pinpoint and be like, "Oh, it was my family." No, you did.
Right.
You not.
Absolutely not. No, we won't do that.
I bet you not.
Won't get me on the HIPAA violation. Nope.
I just want to let you know it's open carry here. You can come at me if you want.
Oh my.
So.
No, we're not even going.
What?
Black women do not have. I'm not even going into that.
I'm not going there either.
I
just can't stand now. Everything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not naive to color, and let me tell you, I'm definitely not. I'm in Texas. Okay, I'm not naive. I was just called. David, wasn't I just called a nigger?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And
Yeah.
all, okay, with the ER at the end of it, just what, 3 weeks ago? So I am
What?
not naive at
Doesn't surprise me in Texas.
with the ER, okay? 3 weeks ago. So I am not naive to the whole races, whatever. Um, it's just that it seemed like now we make so many excuses for everything. Okay. It's like it's because we black. Oh, I can't do this because we black. Well, you know they do that for yeah, get it. I know the temperature is the way it is, but I'm also a person that I'm unmovable. You can't stop me from doing what I'm gonna do. Period. You know, that's just how I feel.
All
I'm
right.
one person though.
Well, we gonna one of the things I
Get into
wanted to,
this first topic.
yeah, but I wanted to piggyback with Herb. You said you listened to last week's show and you said that it was certain things that I guess need to be I don't know, looked at again. So what were you speaking on specifically?
Anita, I believe it was. Don't quote me on this. Was talking about having learned things and having not learned things from her youth and from her parents. And I know one of the things, and this is what I was alluding to earlier in my comment when I was speaking to Anita. I'm sorry, Anetta.
Yeah, get
Is
that
that
right. We
yeah?
not the same.
Is that as black people in a whole, there's a lot of things that we were never taught or learned from our parents, and most of the reason is because they simply didn't know. So how could they teach us anything about certain things when they didn't know? And so a lot of that, we see that manifest itself in the second generation, not ours, not us per se, but if we look at the kids that you're dealing with now in terms of your situation as a school counselor in Baltimore, you see these things. You see the lack of a male presence in a lot of these kids' lives, where we were largely unaffected by that because if there wasn't a father there, there was always an older brother, an uncle, or somebody in the neighborhood who would stand in that breach. That's no longer there. So where a lot of these young boys, girls as well, but I'm gonna focus on the boys for a particular reason, where you see a lot of these boys exhibit aggressiveness where it's not necessary, where in past generations it would have been channeled in sports. Now they have no place to unleash that aggression. So when they start acting out in schools, and this is one of the things that Dr. Umar Johnson talked about, they want to medicate them. They would have put them in special classes because they label him as a malcontent when he's just actually being a boy. This is one of the reasons they talk about single gender education, is because that boys need to be taught differently than girls. BGS always talks about the Prussian school system, which is predicated on sitting there and behaving, which is much easier for girls to do, especially when puberty starts to kick in. So when you have boys who aren't allowed to be boys and they're forced to adhere to something that's kind of foreign to them, already they're battling two monsters. One, they're battling an education system that doesn't cater to them. That's actually, in some instances, almost attacking them or marginalizing them. And then they're dealing with a parent who probably can't help them with some of the studies that they have. Because if their parents didn't value education, they're certainly not going to instill that in the kids. They can't. It's just simply put, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, even in my school, we're experiencing with some of the single sex classes. It's kind of new, so I'm really not going to be able to not going to speak to it. I mean, some students have shown some growth, other ones, they're just hanging in there. But one of the things I did want to speak on that we had the opportunity to take some of our young black boys to hear, and I posted it about the youngest glider pilot in the nation. The 16-year-old, to hear his testimony, which was powerful. And like one of the school resource officers said, like told him, you're LeBron James right now. You're LeBron James. Like at your level, at your age, to be able to be flying, planes or pilots and stuff like that. Like that's unprecedented. That you're
Amazing.
doing it, and even I think he said he started flying like when he was like 10 years old. So now he's just raising the stakes, and he got everything mapped out, and you could just imagine how many he's 11th grader, so how many scholarships gonna go his way, and how, like, man, but that could be many of our young men,
Right.
depending on if they find a niche, they're passionate about it, they stick to it, and they, maintain positive connections and stay away from the toxicity. So I was impressed when I was like, wow, like that's big. Like, like no one could say. It's hard to say. No one could say that. Like, I'm the youngest pilot in the nation.
Right.
Like, what else? What is it to talk about? It's nothing that, man. That was
Absolutely
just great.
nothing.
But let's dive into things that we've taken for granted in our lives, and I think that's a big part of life lessons, like things that we have taken for granted that sometimes when we look at this generation, they they feel entitled, like they don't know the struggle. They, like, even like some of the things back in our days, pay phones and different things that, like, they got everything in front of them, and many of them don't appreciate it. They just automatically assume that as parents, as grandparents, as uncles, and as that they deserve that. And a lot of them going to be in for a rude awakening once their parents pass away, grandparents pass away, and
Mm-hmm.
they never had the opportunity to kind of do for themselves because everything was handed to them. But even as us, it's things that we took for granted. So I like to speak on that.
Yeah. Shoot. My path to adulthood was kind of different. So the one thing I've always taken for granted is family. Mainly because I come from such a big family. But the one thing that I didn't take for granted was always being in the same household all the time. Because for me, when I was going through foster care, sometimes that would just change in an instant. We were going to be put in a different home for whatever reason. We were going to be taken from our mother. We were going to be put back with our mother. So consistency, I think, for me is one thing that I prize. So whatever it is, whether it's work, personal dealings, or finances, I like a consistent thing. And that wasn't always something I had growing up. And I think these kids, this is what you're talking to, Dave, they're always accustomed to something always being there. They're not accustomed to having something taken away, whether whether it's cell phone, electricity, um, food, name brand sneakers, name brand clothing, the ability to be in a car and being taken somewhere. When I was a kid, my mother didn't own a car, so everywhere we went, we walked. Maybe taxi, bus. These kids have it all, and everything, like you said, is at their fingertips, so that they'll understand the struggle. Now, I'm not saying that kids need to struggle in order to understand things, but they need to be exposed to what if, so they are prepared in case something does go awry. That way, they're capable of dealing with the situation. Because if a kid has never experienced hardship, at the first sign of hardship, a lot of these kids might crumble. And this is what you're talking to, Dave. When the parent passes on, they experience a financial crisis. What do they do? Who do they turn to? They're without a job for 5, 6 months, no income. What do? Who can they borrow from? Do they have any savings put aside so they can weather that storm? All these are things that mm, aren't taught, especially now because it's just like, oh, it's always going to be there. And this is what this country slowly is transitioning to. We're transitioning now to not being the economic power that we once were. You look at what China is doing with the Belt and Road Initiative. You look at the fact that Europe now, as a as a conglomerate, the European Union, they have to find a way to heat their homes because Russia's cutting off of their gas supply. So that's going to mean higher gas prices for everybody else in the world. Shorten supplies. How do you keep warm when you have forced air and natural gas is your first way to heat? All of these things we call them first world problems, but actually not. They're just problems that we never had to worry about. We never had to worry about going to turn on the thermostat and it not being a gas supply there. It's always there. So how do you heat your home now?
Shaughnessy, anything you took for granted?
Everything. I would really say literally everything. Oh my gosh. Just the comfortability that comes from being a child. And listening to when your elders or adults try to guide you in the correct way. We always want to learn from our own mistakes when it is so unnecessary. Um, it's definitely so unnecessary. So I would say everything from staying out late instead of doing what needed to be done, and enjoying the times where you didn't have to work and you didn't have to sacrifice to do things. Your only sacrifice was not going over with your friends to McDonald's versus going to track practice. Um, I would say a lot, definitely a lot of mostly being a child.
One of the things I want to speak on is even education, because going to Niagara University, I was a part of the Niagara University Opportunity Program, so that was for disadvantaged financially and academically students. And one of the things they offered that if you completed that program, you can go on and get your master's pretty much for free as long as
Mm,
you were part of that program. And but that was only on the table for a certain amount of years. And every year I like, okay, I'm going back with have the application. I'm gonna go back to Buff State for student personnel administration. Or I could have went to well, it had to be a EOP program. So mainly state schools and stuff. But the
mm,
opportunity was there, and I just kept putting it off. Now that I look back at it, I said, man, I could have instead of
right.
focusing on my job to pay for 75% tuition, I had it right there. I had it right there, and there was nothing stopping me uh, from doing it. So when you're a part of these programs and things like that, and even with youth, when you have scholarships and stuff like that, don't waste it. Don't blow those opportunities, whatever, because there's some people, and how the immigrants and stuff like the immigrants, they come over here and they get different programs and they take advantage of it and
Hmm.
they excel. But there's a lot of programs for us already here, and we just
Yeah.
don't do what we're supposed to do. And then now you're looking for something down the road and not realizing like, damn, I had that for me. And even
Mhm.
when some of my friends that you talk to and they're like, oh, I got to pay this tuition for my child, and I always say, listen to what the great Dave Ramsey said, the financial guru guy said, don't save no money for kids to go to college and put up money for that. And we talked about this before. He said, because they control their own fate. If they want scholarships and stuff, it might not be the exact school they want to go to, but if they produce in 90s, A's and B's, they can get scholarships to go to
Mhm.
school for free. And what would be the point as a parent to put all this money away for them to go to college? It ain't guaranteed that they're gonna come out with anything. There's a such thing as standard of academic progress in college, which some people, I think we do a poor job in the school system to talk about that standard of academic progress, because I think students have the notion, oh, once I go get accepted in the school, I'm there for 4 years, no
Yeah.
matter what. But that's not the case. You can only be there for 2 semesters, three at the most, if you're not going by that guideline, especially like with as far as financial aid, that standard of academic progress, that you'll be dismissed. Then what
Hmm.
happens? Because your parents may not know that, because you don't really have to share that information with them, and if you may be someone who can intercept the mail, that you'll go off to school and be staying at somebody's apartment or staying in someone's room and pretending like you're at college for all that time, but
Mm.
knowing that you're not enrolled. So people start asking like, "Why the hell he up here all the time?" Uh, but damn, is he in any of your classes? But it was people who did that often, would just come hang out because they didn't want to tell their parents.
Yeah.
I, I don't know. I can't. If I'm gonna be on the campus all the time, then I'm gonna just go to school. I'm gonna just go. Well, I'm just gonna hang out here. Like there's so many people there was one guy on Morgan's campus that used to go to the classes too. Like, sir, enroll.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shaughnessy. I'll let you finish.
No, that was it. He just needs to enroll.
He
Funny
was
story.
dismissed. Was he dismissed from there, or was he just coming to hang out?
No, he was a popular party promoter
Oh.
for kids that
Oh.
for like college kids. So I guess it started with him like with promoting his parties on campus. And he got to know a lot of people on campus. He started going to classes with people.
Oh.
Like if he was dating a girl, he would go to their class.
He was
Or if his homeboy had to go to class, he would go to class with him. Like enroll.
that's a waste of time.
You know
It
what?
is.
Go ahead.
Might as well have enrolled.
Yeah, I agree.
The hidden gem in that, and I always talk about this, is in order for that gentleman to know anything about college, what did he have to do?
Go on the campus.
Go.
Correct. He had to step foot on the campus.
That made him do a lot. He could put on his resume, I was on campus.
Well, it's not that. The reason why I say that is this: when I graduated from Laso Senior High School in '92, I didn't go directly to college. I skipped a year, but in that year, shout out to Christopher Milton and Jamel Cruz, Porter Hall, Katwanda Reeves, and all the flavor. I hung out on the college campus for that entire year, that entire academic year of 1992-93. I was not a student. I slept in the rooms. I chilled out on campus. And there are times, I kid you not, where I will actually go to classes and sit in on lectures.
For
It
what?
wasn't that, hold on. It wasn't that I wasn't planning to go to school. I just took a year off.
You didn't have no job, no nothing.
No, I know I worked, but Buff State was so close to Niagara Falls that I could actually commute back and forth an hour. It was nothing. So I'd work, go hang out there on the weekends, went to a couple frat parties and got introduced to the college life. So that next year, just like Dave was talking about the ELP program, when I went to the ELP program and the incoming freshmen were coming in, I already knew what college was about, knew where offices were, knew about the food program, and these kids were coming in behind me, even though I was a freshman just like them. It's the opportunity that we as a culture don't have for exposure. Think of the exposure. Matter of fact, I'll use David. You can attest to this. Kobe Bryant.
Hmm.
His father was an NBA player. Kobe spoke 7 languages fluently. Why? Because his father could afford him the opportunity to travel internationally. So he could speak Italian, German, all of those things that the average inner city black kid had no idea existed. Inoculations, and you can speak to this, Anetta, help the body through exposure to weakened pathogens, develop immunity so you can fight them off. Information is the same way. G.I. Joe slogan was what? Knowing is half the battle. Our kids are being sent into war ill equipped to do battle because they don't know anything. So when they step in these schools and they have to, and now it's a global market, so they have to compete against the Asians. They have to compete against the Indians. And I don't mean Native American Indians, I mean Eastern Indians who pride themselves on academic pursuits. They're getting massacred, they're getting slaughtered, and they can't even sit at the same table that these kids sit at. And we don't realize this until it's too late. Dr. Claude Anderson, and I was watching the clip, I think it was on TikTok. Dr. Claude Anderson, in an interview about 20 years ago, said that by 2015, and here we are, 2022, that black folks in this country will be a permanent minority, and that's where we're headed because we don't have the finances, we don't have the academic intelligence, or the discipline to even pursue those things. So now that we are, David mentioned all the programs that people come in this country to take advantage of, the programs that, even though they're limited, we need to take advantage of them. The EOP program exists for us, but how many of these kids actually enroll in the EOP program to get into college? Even though they might struggle, you're still there. And while you're there, you can get the help. But a lot of these kids just don't want to go, man. College ain't for me, man. Yeah, you right. You know what? You might be right. College is not for everybody. But are you taking a degree program? Are you going to the military? Are you doing something that's going to propel you forward? So 15 years from now, you're not still standing in the same place that you are now. Muhammad Ali said, a man that thinks the same way at 20, or I'm sorry, thinks the same way at 40 that he did 20, wasted 20 years of his life. We have a lot of kids who are wasting their life doing nothing, progressing in nothing, and becoming nothing.
Well, one of the things also to tie in with that is, which is kind of sad because we live in a world of violence that a lot of kids don't want to be on college campuses no more with the increase of violence, which is kind of sad because that was one of the things I always promoted, that campus life. There was nothing better than that, whatever. That was about survival. Uh, that was, even though my school was only 5, 10 minutes away, but I stayed on campus
Yeah, still in the
throughout
street.
and I went through the struggle. I could have simply got on the phone and called one of my family members, like, yo, I'm hungry as hell. Like, once you missed the meal plan and all that stuff,
Yeah,
you had
buddy.
to find out resources. You had to find out the young ladies who got the noodles, the crock pots in their room,
Why did
stuff
I
like
know
that.
you was gonna say the ladies?
It's
Why?
a
Because that's
man,
who
it's a
had it.
college
Because that's
staple.
who had it.
Laugh
That's
if
who
you want
had
to.
it.
It's a college staple.
Yeah, that's who had the food. Guys didn't have it. If we couldn't order pizza, we ain't had no money to do that. Shit, we was waiting to, like, man, I'm hungry as hell. We gonna go to breakfast in the morning, and there's a lot of times I used to. My homeboys used to come get me. Okay, Dave, we going to breakfast. They'd come all the way across campus, knock on my door, like, yo, man, you coming? I'm like, nah, man, I'm about to get that. Like, oh, I walked all the way over here, and then I'm like, bring me something back. But it was times like that. Then once we found out how to kind of manipulate some of the workers that work there with fake swipe our cards, that we could have another meal, learn the tricks of it's a lot of tricks. Like I said, it's about survival. And I don't think with good reason, some of them say, hey, they don't feel safe and they don't want to be up there because we've seen documented stories that roommates get into it and one of them kill
Mhm.
each other and things like that. So you
Yeah.
can't blame them, but also I I I have concern that they don't get that experience to be like, okay, mom and dad is not up here. Now I got to try to fend for myself. I got to learn how to budget my money. I got to
Hmm.
wash my clothes. I got to make sure I have money to wash my clothes. Got to be able to have money to go to the store, get toothpaste, toiletries, and stuff like that. That taught us survival skills. So
Yeah.
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of people,
A
kids, will
friend
be
of
stepping away
mine,
from that.
a couple of weeks ago, maybe, probably sometime last month. Of course, it's the beginning of the school year, and her daughter wanted to come home, and she was like, "No, stay on campus. It's the weekend." And her daughter was like, "No, no, no, I want to come." She came home. She had been talking about this party that was going to be off campus all week. Her mother was like, "Go to the party, enjoy." She has a responsible daughter, and her daughter was just like, "No, not for any reason in particular." Like 6 people got shot at the party.
Mm.
It's the beginning of the school year.
Yeah, see, and it's no place for that. It's no place, and that's
Yep.
disheartening when you send your kid to college and you think they're at the best
Hmm.
place. They not out in the streets in the neighborhood. They're at college, but
Right. And
fools
for
come
the
on campuses
child,
and act a fool.
Yeah,
yeah.
they do.
And for the child to really be like, "No, I'll skip this one." Like, and she didn't know. She didn't know it was no beef. She didn't know it was no issue. It was just, I want to come home this weekend.
Hmm.
So she came home.
She ended up going home. She went home, and that's when everybody started getting the mass text messages, et cetera, et cetera. And she was just like, "Hey, I get it. Everybody's concerned. For some reason, my child decided that she wrote a Facebook status. For some reason, my child decided that she wanted to come home this weekend.
I
So
bet you
she
the
was
mother
not there."
listen now. I bet she listen
I know,
now.
right? If you don't want to go to no parties, I'm coming to pick you up.
And I understand what the mother probably was trying to do, like
Yeah, get her
get
out
involved
there.
with that
Yeah.
experience. But
Hmm.
sometimes if somebody keep pushing something, like I don't want to do it, I want to do it.
Right.
You might have
Exactly.
to just listen
Hmm.
and say there'll be other events that you can go to.
Right.
Mhm.
All right, all right. Okay, here's another thing for taken for granted. What about loving friends? Or sometimes lack of loving friends. You might be the loving friend and people take you for granted. But let's talk about
That's so
that.
broad. What do you mean? That's so broad.
I just think I get how friends take friends for granted a lot. I find this a lot in females when they get into a
Oh,
relationship or they're around a certain male. Their homegirls, their friends, their girls become non-existent.
Mm.
And then if that thing is to end, it's all of a sudden you pop back up like, "Hey girl." And it's just like, yeah, actually, don't even talk to me. Like, you disappeared for the last 6 months. Like, I don't care. Like, now you want me to be your rebound while you heal from this relationship. No. Mm.
Now, Annette, you
Um,
said it was too broad, but kind of like the scenario that Shaughnessy said, that sometimes it's a lot of that people take for granted, that somebody's always going to be there. Like
mhm.
you can't, somebody always like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And you always shooting them down. You don't never want to do anything that they want to do, but you want them to do stuff that you do. I think stuff like that is taking people for granted or not being there as a
Yep.
support system, and a lot of that is
Mhm.
going on, and maybe more so with girls. I just think my biggest problems growing up was maybe I didn't take my friends for granted, but some of the stuff they said was was horrible information. that was deliberate, whatever. That I wished I'd have like, nah. That I would have had a little bit more fortitude with myself to say, nah, I ain't checking for that. I mean, deep back in, probably back in my head, I would be like, nah, but then I was like, yo, these are my people. They not gonna steer me wrong. But they gave poor advice. If y'all listening, y'all know y'all gave poor advice and didn't care, and y'all didn't even have no recollection of someone who a credible source that gave y'all that information. Y'all just was running with stuff and we made a lot of mistakes like that.
Mm.
Talk to us, Annetta. What you thinking?
I don't know. That word friends is at this stage in our life, we ought to know the difference from what a friend is and what an acquaintance is, and what is someone that just absolutely just think they know us. Um, and at this stage of life, if you being influenced by other people, I'm concerned.
But I I I, I
Um,
I don't know.
in the negative aspect, I'm saying. For we use the word friend so loosely, like it's so loose now. Like,
Yeah, it is.
oh, that's my friend. Girl, you only know her 2 weeks. You don't even know us. Like, and I guess that's where I'm at with it. Like, I'm very careful with just freely using the word friend. Everyone I believe is put in a category in my life. And my friend category is very, very small. One, because I'm very conscious that we live in a society where people will change based on, whatever temperature of life they're going through. So I just move cautiously when it comes to, putting people as a friend.
And it's no shot to women, but I think sometimes y'all have a hard time of letting go of childhood friends or equating stuff to years uh, and keep holding on when like, damn,
Because the
this,
quality of friendships are different
It
between
is.
women and male. Excuse me. Sorry.
It
The
is.
quality of friendships are different.
It really is.
what, because y'all talk more on a regular basis, and guys, we cannot talk to one
No,
of our friends for 6 or 7 months, then talk, and then be talking for 2 hours and pick up like nothing ever changed. I don't know.
we got friends. I have a best friend who live out of town. We probably since my birthday probably talked 2 times. But every time we talk, you would think that we have talked every single day.
Mm-hmm.
The way we pick back up because we connected like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And we
And
know everybody's just
everyone is
living
not
life.
connected like that. I had a best friend
Mhm.
for over 20 years. We kind of parted the seas, but if she called me today, my love for her has not changed. We will pick up like we've been talking the whole time because the quality of friend, how you care about somebody, and the quality of friendship does not change. There may be an offense or something, a mishap that happened, but it's not going to change the heart you have for that person.
And it might not even be anything. You might have grown
Just
apart
grown apart,
from
and I
each
feel
other
like that we
or
just grow apart.
in different seasons. I have a friend that the things that we do don't align with each other anymore. So there are times that I'll see a Facebook post and I'll mute her for 30 days on Facebook.
Wow.
And like I think the last time I spoke to her was last summer, probably in August last year. And I called her yesterday because I don't know, somebody with her last name in her area had passed away. And I was like, let me make sure this is not her father. And I called her and she was like, oh no, he's in the nursing home from what I know. And I'm like, oh Lord. She like, but no, that's not his name. But from that, we were on the phone for 2 hours.
Good conversations is priceless when you're able to pick back up and then talk, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's funny that you like, okay, we're gonna stay connected, and then another 6 months go
Oh
by
no, I
and you
don't lie to anybody, and everybody knows when I say I'm gonna call you back. That may be in 10 minutes, and it may be in 10 weeks.
Well, my call you back, mate. Right, I'm with you. It's definitely not 10 minutes. It may be Thursday, Friday, December,
It just depends on who it is and
January,
what we're talking
February,
about.
March.
Right.
Because one, I hate talking on the phone.
Oh,
I
really?
hate.
Y'all, I have a morning talking conversation. I have a evening. I have friends that I talk to literally every single morning. Every single morning. Top of the morning. And if we don't speak in the morning, it's just like, you good? And it's like, oh yeah, I was over such and such house last night. It's like, oh, all right, okay, funny acting, blah blah blah. Then I also have somebody on the phone while I'm at home cooking, doing homework, or bathing kids, and I don't know. I'm always on the phone. I hate texting though. That's a 3 to 10 business day process most of the time for me. Unless it's somebody that I know, like you can't, like you have to text, then I'll answer you. But I got 132 unread text messages.
Oh, I just
Wow.
say I got
Damn.
76.
Oh, jeez.
I got 76 unread text messages.
Yeah, horrible. Horrible. Freaking
And
horrible.
some of them I put on mute.
Why we gotta be freaking horrible?
76, 100 something. What if it was something important?
They call.
They'll call me.
Huh?
No, I said they'll call me.
Yeah, that don't mean you're gonna answer.
Well, then that you're not that.
All I'm gonna say is that destroys a whole lot of that they don't communicate piece we keep consistently hearing about what men don't do.
Oh well,
Good.
okay.
We're
Well,
good.
I'm
We're
not
good setup.
necessarily talking about. I'm just talking about people in general. Yes, men do get left on red. But people that actually know me, if they send me a text message and they want an answer, they'll call me like, can you text me right now, please? Thank you. And then now you got my attention because clearly you need to text versus talk on the phone. Or it'll be something what you answer me in your head, and I'll be like, dang, yes. Or I'll be scrolling through my phone like, dang, girl, I definitely thought I answered this 5 days ago. Yes, I will be in Baltimore that weekend. It's just text messages are my weak spot.
I don't do that left on red status. Don't
Oh
leave
yeah,
me
I
on
do
no
that.
And see, what this dovetails into is a work-life balance, and this is what you were talking about, David. That guys tend to have a little bit more of. Now, I don't know, and being that I don't have kids, maybe I'm out of my league when I speak about this. Maybe it's the fact that due to modern life, women have a little more demand on their time than men do, especially if they have children in their a single parent.
Yeah, I can
So
respect
some of the things that would say it again, David.
I said I could respect that they have a lot going on and doing
Yeah.
a lot. So
So some
I
of the
mean,
things that,
if you say that, it goes to you make time for what you want. Because honestly, just
no,
like
I was gonna get to that. What I
in the morning, in the evening, throughout the day, I may talk on the phone. So it's really, if our dynamic is that, like, if you're an everyday person that I talk to, then I am going to talk to you every day, some
but
way, somehow.
but that begs the question: how does someone establish a rapport with an individual that only gives them time when they think it's worthy of them?
Well, the time that I give you, you better knock it out the park and make me want to talk to you more.
And this is what when I spoke about the communication piece. Communication is two parts: send, receive, and then reply. So if it's been sent and it received, but there's no reply, who is that defaulting to in terms of responsibility or lack of?
obligated to respond to nobody that don't pay my phone bill, and don't
You
nobody
you
pay
you you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. So the next time that I hear women talk about men not communicating, guess what I'm going to say? Men are not responsible for communicating to somebody that doesn't pay their phone bill, that doesn't feed them, that doesn't fuck them, that doesn't suck them. See how that comes across? It comes across as very selfish, which women are often accused of, but they reject the notion because it says not important enough.
That is
So what is
so
important enough?
extra.
I had to put it in terms.
That's like 10 for 10. Listen, this is what she's saying, and it is what it is. That's just
Hold on,
when
hold on.
to my
I'm not.
house unannounced. I'm not responsible to open my door, Ninja, if you didn't tell me you was coming. Period. I'm not responsible to answer
but
my
wait a minute.
phone if I don't want to.
And what are we
I'm
talking about
trying
as
to
far as
control the atmosphere? Listen, if I don't want to talk to you, you're gonna be on red. These 76 text messages is not family. They're not blood people.
I didn't say anything about family.
To them when I want to respond, and guess what my response gonna be? Hey, I understand there's a delay. I don't apologize for nothing. I understand it's a delay in me responding to you. Is there anything you need at this current time?
Woo-wee.
All right, thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna need to put that in my message in my custom text for when I decline calls.
Listen, girl, my decline call says, hey, I'm busy. I'll connect with you within 24 to 48 hours.
If one of y'all ladies decline my call, there's gonna be some shit.
I'm telling you, look, don't get mad because I'm bound to decline it. I'm telling you now. And I only talk to certain people after 9 o'clock.
I don't talk to anybody after 9 o'clock.
Now,
unless it's a bona fide emergency.
Get me, just trust and believe that you're really not on my radar.
90% of the time, if you're not somebody that I talk to every day or often, and you call me late, I'm gonna answer because I'm gonna think it's either an emergency or you have to talk. I'm gonna answer. So if somebody texts me late, calls me late, I'm definitely gonna answer because I'm be like, you good? You okay? Not especially with females, 9 times out of 10, it's because a Negro done pissed them off and they need to blow some steam. So yeah, while I'm sitting here dozing off on the bed, I'm gonna let you get your cries off, your cursing outs off, you venting session. And I'm be like, girl, I set my alarm to 4:25. Call me at 4:26 and we can continue this conversation because at this point I'm going to sleep.
Interesting.
But I don't think that's a lapse in communication because I don't respond to a text.
But how is it not a part of communication is responding? You're cutting out the elementary. You're cutting out
text messages. It shouldn't be a text anyway.
It doesn't matter if it's a text or a call. The message has been sent. We all agree that the message has been sent. If a message is left unread or unresponded to, then the communication has broken down. You can't dispute that.
So if you send a good morning text every morning, I'm supposed to respond to it every morning?
You eat every day, don't you?
That's a joke. I'm not. I'm just not.
You eat every day, don't you?
Absolutely.
So if an individual is reaching out to you, why not respond?
So Shauna,
this is what we were talking about taking for granted.
So Shauna, so you saying it depends on who that message is from.
And what? So don't good morning me every morning to death. Just don't. I don't have nothing for you but a good morning back. And at the end of the day, I don't like texting. And if this is all this is going to be, good morning, good night, I really don't. For what?
Okay, let me intercede right here. Let me intercede for a moment.
I so agree with you.
Allow me to intercede.
Paying me good morning coffee? Like, what are you on my phone for?
Allow me
He
to
is leaving
intercede
a
then.
good morning text to 99 women. You are not special.
Allow me to intercede.
Thank you. And the
The,
person that
the,
falls for it and that holds the conversation is who you stuck on for that day until that evening when you send out your good night text. It goes
allow,
right
Hello.
along with the good morning, Queen Grand Rising.
Good
allow
morning,
Grand
me to
Rising,
allow
beautiful.
Queen.
me to
Good
allow
morning,
me
Queen.
to
babe.
intercede then.
Good morning. I'll be like, good morning, babe. I don't even talk to you like that. How
This
we know?
was
We got
copy
pet
and
names. Hold
pasted.
on. Try to tell me like we got pet names for 30 day, 1 day out of the 30-day conversation.
Allow me to intercede the same way you have that pre-written text to say if what you call is important, yada yada yada. Why can't you have something set up for those type of people that you don't want to text you like that consistently?
Well, if
Because they
they
don't
do it
ever get the
after 30
point. So if
days,
you
I
leave them
usually
on
block them.
red, maybe
You
they'll
said they
get
don't get the point. Is
yeah.
that what you're saying, Shaughnessy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
So
jerk.
why would you deal with somebody who's intentionally obtuse?
Well, maybe you don't know it initially.
Hey, if somebody shows me something once, I'm not asking a second time.
And I don't so every how do I say this? Just because how do I put this?
Girl, don't be
One,
nice.
because of
Say it.
the nature of my job, my phone number is everywhere. So having my phone number is not a flex at all. It's literally on a daggone website. Well, not web. Well, the intranet, just in case they need to call people in, blah blah blah. All that other stuff. But don't keep good morning me. You slide in there like, hey, can you cover this shift? And then now, Mr. Doctor, you think because you're a young doctor, you think you could good morning me every morning. No, go mess with the other 17 nurses.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and people accuse me of trying to flex. Why do you think I have two cell phones?
I don't mean nothing. I got 3.
But what I'm simply saying is this: the individuals that you want to respond to, like you genuinely like talking to them, they get that number. The people you
I
They
don't,
get
genuinely
hold
like,
on, hold on, hold on,
they
hold on,
get the
hold on, hold
reject
on.
phone.
There you go.
but look, I'm at
So
someone else's house right now, right?
Okay.
And you know what his complaint is?
Hmm.
I'll respond to text messages. 2-hour interview intervals, and it's not really 2-hour. It's not on purpose that it's 2-hour interviews. But when you look at the text message conversation, it literally is 2-hour intervals, and I don't know why, but that's my weak point. But if you wanted something from me, call me. Call
But
me.
this is what I just said a few moments ago. Do you have that text preloaded so you can
No,
send
because
out?
then I could just answer your text message for all of that.
So now you're just making excuses. That's what it
No,
sounds
I'm
like to me.
not. I may look at the phone and I'm be like, oh, okay. Or I may look at the phone. Somebody says, hey, we finalized the date. It's on September 6th. Cool. I'll write it in my calendar, September 6th. That's it. I just won't respond to the text. And it's
Mm,
like, oh,
mm, mm.
yeah, unless it don't say RSVP, so I don't have to respond to nothing.
Sounds
so this is
sounds
my
like sounds
this
like
is my
this is a
thing. So this is my thing. I don't like men that can't. This is. I want to give a description. I don't like men texting me, "Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, babe. Good morning, hun." When you can't hold a conversation in public, in person. If you can't hold a conversation in public with me, I don't really want you texting me because that shows that you are communication awkward and socially awkward. And that I'm going to devour you in conversation. So I don't like that. I don't like the good morning text. And I think it's random. I think it's so like you send out a group text and you don't, because now you can send a group text out and it'll come out individually.
Or you bored.
Right, you're bored. Or you beat your pecker this morning and you thought of me or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what kind of men you ladies are encountering, but I'm glad I'm not friends with any of them. That's all I can say.
But I'm just saying. So for me personally, I don't really like the whole good morning text message. Plus, like, okay, so it's this guy I met here, and we went out a couple times. And be quiet, we went out a couple times, and I hope he's watching. We went out a couple times, and I was like, in my head, you ever talked in your head while you're sitting across from somebody and you feel like you're talking out loud? That's how I was sitting across him. It was like, you're an idiot. I never want to talk to you again. I hope that you just lose my number. This was in my head, right?
It was showing all in your face.
Right.
And, hold on. And you know what? He was singing he was singing that song. Billy, don't you lose my number. Cause I'm not anywhere that I can't find you.
So literally, let me tell you. So he started, I wouldn't respond to his calls anymore. This dude started sending me text pictures of him, like in his car. Like, hey, I was thinking about you. HRU. Hey, da, da, da. And when I say they were going unresponsive, I was no response. It seemed like they started getting more and more aggressive. Right, more and more aggressive. So
you know what I hate? When you stop talking or responding to somebody and they start emailing you. Like, what?
Yes.
What?
So today I sent him this message. I was like, hey, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to come off disrespectful or dismissive to your feelings. But I do want to express this to you. Please stop texting me pictures of you, and please stop asking me inappropriate questions. I guess you don't see the handwriting on the wall that I'm very much not interested. But however, I guess I had to send this text to let you know. Please stop texting me. Thank you.
See, that stings. I sting for him.
This dude came back, Shaughnessy, and his comeback was, so I guess you don't want to see me no more. You're stupid!
Duh! Like, what? This is why I just block people. This is why
at that point I just blocked them. I was like, "Are you serious? Did you just say that?"
Because it's just like
the beauty of all of this is a lot of things come out, and I can see right now we have a communication barrier, issues with certain things.
I don't think it's a communication barrier. I don't. I understand when they're feeling each other and when they're not. And let me tell you, if I feel like I go out with a guy and I text him the next day, like, hey, how's your day? And he does not respond.
He's not.
That's a bad move. Yeah, that's a bad.
But that one, I don't think he's that interested. Two, I'm not texting or calling until
never again
he contacts me. I'm not.
But wait a minute. What if he doesn't like responding over text?
Then that's what I said. Responds or call me.
Then you should say that.
Mm-hmm.
But wait a minute. You just said yourself that you don't like talking on the phone.
Who, I don't like talking on the phone, but if
hold on.
Hold on. If I'm interested,
just leave them damn googly eyes.
I'm gonna talk to you. What?
Just leave the googly eyes, whatever. Like, okay, you're not gonna respond. Like I'm watching you, whatever that should be.
Question mark on top of it.
I answer the phone for people that I want to talk. Let me tell you why I don't like talking on the phone. I'm express to y'all. Anybody that talks to me on the phone, I like talking to people and seeing their face. So if you have Facebook, I'm going to inbox you with the video if you don't have an iPhone. I like to FaceTime. I like to see your expressions. I'm a verbal and hand and emotional speaker. So I like to see your face. So if I'm to sit and hold a phone and I feel like when I'm talking on the phone, I'm just talking to a ghost. Your representative. But when I'm looking you in your face, I get to see everything.
Oh my gosh. And I feel like I hate when men FaceTime me for what?
And see, this is the dilemma that a lot of men have to navigate. And then we wonder why.
You deal with your person individually. Because although, just like I said, if I'm not one that likes to FaceTime, not really into it, but I do have a friend, and she's a female. She always FaceTimes me. So guess what? She gonna go on this ride. Maybe for 2 minutes, you might be on the counter and you may be looking at me. The other part of the conversation, you may be in my purse, but you're the one that chose to FaceTime me. You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting.
But how though? How does an individual know what they're getting until they got it?
Yeah, I mean that's what I have particular people that
you want to talk to me. You're going to talk to me. I'm going to be in the store with my earbuds. I'm going to be talking to people in the store, everything, because you want to talk to me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You have to get to know your person.
I don't disagree with that, but the position that this puts any person in, and it's not just a male, female, is that how does an individual get to know another individual if they have to navigate the field of communication first? So if I'm dealing with an individual who doesn't like to talk face to face, they'd rather do it over text. How do I get to that? How do I get to that position if the only way I have to get in contact with them is text, and I'm trying to set up a face-to-face meeting? I said the only way, because you're not answering the calls. The text is going read, the calls going responded to. So what am I to do?
Then that's the point. That's you got your communication right there. That person is not that into you.
Okay, but that's fine. But what I'm asking is, how does an individual get to that point that they know, especially if they don't take subtle hints? Anetta has already said that she had to be brutally honest with a guy and he didn't get it. It didn't resonate with him, that she didn't want to be involved with him. And I'll be the first to tell you, there are some guys out there who are not too sharp. You know, I don't
know. I be trying to friend zone people. I try not to sting as much as Anetta did. I'll try to friend zone guys, and guys typically know when they get friend zoned, and then they'll fall back. And if you don't fall back after then, and you just annoying, I'm just going to block you. That's it.
But why not tell them? See, this is the situation that men have.
Just because I don't have an interest in you as a love interest doesn't mean you still can't be my friend. I've met a guy a few years ago, and we went out on a date, and it wasn't really but still to this day he's my friend. We will go.
Yeah, but that friendship is one way.
Huh?
That friendship is one way.
How is it one way?
Because he doesn't know that.
He does know it. That's what I'm saying. He does.
So he has a romantic interest in you, and you told him you would just want to be friends.
We both were we thought we were interested in each other.
Go ahead and dance. I hear the music in the background. Go ahead and dance some more.
No, we did. Like we went out on a date, and it just was like, yeah, this the homie. It's not really like you the homie. Like that's it. So you told him directly that he's not really going to see any parts of the panties.
He's a fool.
Yeah, like that's it. That's all.
Okay, then like David said, he's a fool.
When we link up now,
why would he be a fool?
His girlfriend is cheating on his nerves and he needs to vent, or he's trying to plan something or try to figure something out, and vice versa. But we're friends. Like some people get it, some people don't.
He may be one of the people that don't. Let me answer Anita's question. Anita, if you went to the bank and you applied for a loan and they told you there was no way in hell you're going to get that loan, are you going to continue to go to that bank to ask for a loan?
Yep.
Stop. You thinking Jax now. Stop.
All right, hey, I can't help you there. I can't help you understand that.
Relationships, interpersonal relationships. There's no comparison there, Herbert.
Who was doing the comparison? I just asked you a question.
Isn't my daddy?
I just asked a question. I wasn't trying to make an association. I was just drawing an apples to apple comparison using something that was different.
But those two things aren't even a comparison. They're different.
I said I was just drawing a comparison between the two using something that is different. Meaning that
you ain't getting it.
Meaning
interpersonal relationships. And
hold on. You have to listen in order to understand. You have to listen in order to understand.
I'll listen.
The answer is no. It doesn't matter what the two people involved in are trying to do. The answer is no, it's not going to happen. So you mean to tell me that you are going to hang around an individual that you want something from that is telling you there is no goddamn way it's going to happen?
Well,
sometimes, maybe.
Oh,
well,
hell.
Well, I think sometimes guys hang around because they hope, okay, let me backdoor my way in that she may get vulnerable. I'm just saying. It's not for me.
No, there's a double entendre there, and that's what I was laughing at.
Because they may feel like, okay, one day she might have to lean on my shoulders, and that's when the romance may kick in because she know that I'm loyal, trustworthy, I'm her friend. So some guys go at it with that tactic.
Sure.
I'm not gonna if I'm gonna go with one way, like you said, with the romance interest, I don't want to get demoted to okay, I'm your homie. See you when I see you. Play out.
Not all guys are like that, though.
I'm just saying for me. I'm just saying for me. That's what I'm speaking of.
But David, if you don't want a relationship, if you don't want no relationship right now, or somebody promotes you as the homie, you can't get offended.
I still don't want to be no freaking homie.
And what you want to be?
Why?
Boy?
Yeah, why?
Because I have no desire to listen to you talking about other men and other interests, whatever. When I initially seek what, like Herb made a comparison with jobs, just like you going for one job and then all of a sudden they trying to give you another position. Like I have no desire for this position when I wanted this position and I think I was qualified for it, whatever. It's about pride, man. There's sometimes it's about having pride.
That's where some people go wrong. Their pride and ego.
Well,
but what you want? You wanted a position. You want a position to have sex with her?
I don't. I mean, I'm not
saying
that's not a position. Having sex with somebody is not a position. That's
many positions with having sex.
I beg to differ on that one. Yeah, the Kama Sutra was written about that.
I cannot.
Just putting it out there.
Was written about what? Backdoor?
Positions.
Yeah, backdoor.
Having sex with somebody with no commitment or relationship is not a position. It's an activity. That two people agree on.
One has to position themselves to being in activity.
When what?
I don't care how you slice it. I don't care how you try and dance over it. It's still a position.
Okay. It ain't no position with priority.
Depends on who you're asking. Some men, that's all their priorities are, is have sex. We call them unproductive males. They exist. Why do you think there's so many women talking about there's no good men in the world? Because they found a man whose priority was to have sex. And that's what they got. Jay-Z said it best when he said in the song. He said, I'll try to get a nut and a nut and a nut and I got a nut and what? We listen to this stuff, but we don't put it together.
Because not everybody perceives things like you do, Herbert.
It's not about perception. It's about understanding.
It definitely is about perception, and communication is about perception.
How is communication about perception? If I tell you something, what is there to perceive? If I tell you no, I'm not going somewhere, what is there to perceive?
Unless they misinterpret what you said.
That's perception.
No means no. Isn't that what men are told? How do I perceive no in any other way?
Oh man, this got quite
I,
interesting.
I
This got
think
quite interesting. I missed y'all. I
Sometimes,
missed these debates.
sometimes perception is the break in communication.
So if a man approaches a woman to have sex and she says no,
And
he
men
can
and men,
perceive that she means maybe.
don't try to pull that it's not with men bullshit.
Okay, so if a woman approaches a man and asks for money, he says no, she's thinking maybe.
Yep. I'm thinking maybe not right now, maybe when he gets paid.
Ain't no way in hell. He replies.
Not for you, but for somebody.
I said he, not me. I said he replies, no way in hell.
Maybe not you, but maybe somebody else.
Once again, I said I did not reply. I'm saying the guy being asked is saying there's no way in hell I'm gonna sleep with ugly McFugly. But she keep asking me.
Wow.
I mean, he might get a little drunk.
He says there's not enough alcohol in the world.
Y'all reaching now. I mean, not y'all.
Little
Reaching.
ex.
Let's move
Y'all
on.
reaching and it sounds really personal.
Yeah, let's move on to the second part of this. Things
Move
that
on,
you owe,
Herbert.
things that you owe yourself. That you it's too late now to think about your younger self. But as far as life lessons, what are some things that you think you owe yourself right now? And like the example I used in my promo video, like shit, maybe you say to yourself, I need to go on more vacations. I need to be more selfish right now. And think about
yes,
me.
that's exactly.
So let's talk about
I need
that.
to be more selfish. That is exactly what I am on a journey to, being selfish. I need to learn how to be that way.
Okay. And why do you think that? Why do you feel that
Uh,
way?
because the majority, I think every time, honestly, every time I take an L, every time I take a loss, is behind me caring for somebody else. It's never because of anything else other than me considering somebody else's feelings, their position in life, or what they have going on. So
Okay, that's fair. Anybody else want to add to that or
Yeah.
talk about another point about things
I
that they
need
need?
to apologize to myself for accepting things that I shouldn't have accepted back then.
Such as?
Disrespect,
Mm.
emotional, verbal, physical abuse.
that's a good one, because a lot of time we do like grace with ourselves.
And things that I wouldn't have normally done, wouldn't normally do now that I've done back then because I was young and I didn't have all the knowledge that I have now, which I don't want to get into details, but that's the overview. That's the Cliff Notes.
One of the things I always tell my family and close ones, like one day I'm on Machiavelli on y'all ass. And I ain't gonna be going too long, but I'm just go be somewhere. Yeah, like people that call me on a regular basis, like, where the hell you at? I said I might put something on social media or whatever the case is, but I'm just gonna be in my own. Like, yo, all these years,
Yes.
I just don't want to be bothered. I'm just taking this time, and I'm gonna let y'all know that I'm still alive, but I'm just in my own zone
Y'all
and
might
don't
not
care
even
about
know that.
nobody. Oh damn, you taking it deep, Shaughnessy. But seriously, and that's one of the things. Sometimes you owe yourself some things.
I agree.
That's why I got out of Dodge last week.
I see her.
Ever since COVID has descended, I haven't been able to go in my backyard, so to speak. So once the opportunity opened up, I got out.
Okay, so this is my version.
I forgot how shady y'all were.
Shady. I missed something.
Oh, you didn't miss anything.
Oh,
You
okay.
sure didn't miss anything. Honestly, when I say we be on the same page,
Yeah, I must be talking over my head. I missed that one too.
Honestly, yeah, because like I said, I didn't catch it, but yeah, it's not meant for me.
it's all
Moving
good. You
along.
ain't catch it, but you was throwing it.
Moving right along.
Now you were gonna say something, Anetta?
Nah, ain't no need.
Mhm. Okay, but no, what's your take on things that you think you owe yourself? And I think clearly when you made you made your power move to Texas, that was something you probably felt like you owed yourself. Like I got to get out. I got to try something different and do something different. So speak on that. You don't have to, but I'm just saying. I think that played a part of your decision.
I believe that you only get to live life once. Okay.
Hmm. That's
And
true.
so I am living out loud. I believe that when I finally lay in the bed and it's time for me to go, I would not be sitting here like, oh, I wish I would have went to Europe. I wish I would have went to Paris. I wish I would have. I'm not gonna have a wish I would have. I'm gonna be like, oh, she went. She had a ball. She lived it up. She did that. Because I believe in work-life balance. I believe in don't work so much that you don't get to enjoy what you're working for. And then you die and you leave it for kids that you should have taught to create their own. So that's just how I move now. I wasn't like that before. I think after having the cancer, it kind of brought me to that place of knowing that you gotta live, love, and forgive. That's where I'm at, you know,
Okay.
and help who I can, and those I can't help, pray for them, you know, and be wise in your dealings and treat people how you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? But be blunt. Be blunt. Don't be sitting here. I think a lot of people live such a falsetto life. Like it's not, you know. I get tired of seeing women chasing men. Like I get that just burns my total inside. Like value you enough that if he don't deem you as a priority, then don't deem that ninja as an option.
So
Okay.
when you say chasing, what determines that they're chasing them?
Like
Because some
they'll do
people might not
anything.
understand it, huh?
They'll sell them. They'll sell themselves just to be with this person or this man. And my thing in that is, if he has not valued you for who you are, then honey, boo boo, fall back. Stop trying to put yourself as a fixture in somebody's life who does not value the existence of you. And I think a lot of time women compromise just to say you got somebody, or compromise just to go over on this adventure. And many times it's a disappointing adventure. You giving up yourself and compromising for a disappointing adventure. And I just feel like sometimes people, some women just compromise just to say they have it or they did it, I
Mm-hmm.
accomplished it. And I'm like, what you accomplished? And I'm not saying that people are nobody, but what value has he brought to your life? What have you accomplished? Absolutely nothing, sweetheart.
Other than struggle.
A struggle and
Sounds like it.
disappointment.
Sounds like the table question to me. That guys often ask women, and women don't like it.
Yeah,
Just
I
putting it
feel
out
like
there.
it's for both ways. What do you bring to the table? Like
Yes.
for me, if a man asks me what I brought to the table, honey, let me explain something to you. I'm not even going to tell you what I brought to the table. I want you to sit and watch what I can bring to the table. Watch.
Experience this.
I'm not even going to sit here and tell. It's almost like I want to tell somebody when they say that to me, baby, Google me. Like don't ask me what I can bring to the table. Okay? Because honey, if I want to, I can bring the table to the table. A whole new table.
Jam.
Okay?
Jam.
But I'm saying you just have to make sure that you, and I mean, I don't talk to men like this because I don't believe in emasculating men. But when a man asks me that, what you bring to the table, you already got it. I'm red flagging you already because that shouldn't be your initial conversation. Get to know me.
Right.
Be organic with your conversation and get to know me. Because if you get to know me, you would know what I can bring to the table. You would know what type of table. Do I got an oak table? Do I have a mahogany table? Do I have a marble table? Or do I have a glass table? You would know what kind of table I have if you get to know me.
Herb, I seen you turn your head on something. Body language, because we know we know that's a big part of communication.
Oh man, you know what? Sometimes this stuff writes itself, and I'm going to ask a question: how does an individual get to that point of knowing an individual if, and I stress if, that individual is not communicating that to them initially?
There has to be some interest. With me, I can't just be interested in you. I have to be intrigued by you.
Okay, hold on. Allow me to interrupt. How does that individual know that specific thing about you?
Oh, because I'm gonna let them know. If I'm still communicating with you, that means that you have your pinky toe in the door.
That's after he passes the background check.
Huh?
That's after he passes the background check.
Listen, I was up last night doing background check.
Oh no.
Because I don't work for that job no more, so it ain't that easy. But listen, don't play with me. I was up last night doing background checks. You told me this, and I was researching, and I was like, so when today came and they texted me, I was like, what did you say? Maybe I spelled it incorrectly. What did you say again?
Wow. And we wonder why we had past broadcasts about dating and all that stuff with so much complications. It's just too much, whatever. It's just find your first love if they married and just get with them.
Interest. You have to be intrigued by a person because interests fade away. Like, shoot, I was interested in jogging a few weeks ago. And then I jogged and was like, yeah, this I'm walking. You know what I'm saying?
That's something you got to build up into. You just can't all of a sudden say, oh, I'm going to go jogging, but you ain't jogged since.
Right, but I started and was doing it, and I was like, nah, this ain't it. And then I said, oh, I want to go horseback riding. Went horseback riding a couple times. I was like, this is intriguing. It was fun. So then I enjoyed it. That's because I got intrigued with it. Okay? So if you intrigue me, then there's going to be more communication. If you interest me, because I tell a person in a minute, listen, I got ADHD for relationships.
I just made a post about that a couple of days ago. I said guys have ADHD.
Listen, I might talk to you the 3 weeks straight and be talking to you, and then right after that, you'd be like, hey, how you doing? I'll be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Listen, my attention span, you have to keep my attention span. And it's not that I would easily move to the next person. I'll just easily dismiss. You have to keep my attention span. And a lot of people be like, well, why you like that? Because it's 30 men to every, 30 women to every one man. Okay, but when you value yourself, I don't care about those ratios.
It's getting tough out here, fellas. It's getting real tough.
So when somebody says, what do you bring to the table? What does that actually mean? Is it the same for guys and women? Is it different people think about it different? What's
the question?
What you bring to the table, it can mean a slew of things. It could be finances. It could be now men got this new thing going. that I'm not allowing anybody to interrupt my peace. If you interrupt my peace, Shaughnessy, did I say it right? If you interrupt my peace, then I'm moving on. So you got to be able to bring that unbiased, non-debative, non-drama attitude to the table. You have to be able to bring that that good sex to the table. You got to be able to bring that standing on your own and supporting them. You got to be able to bring your little finances, okay, to the table. You got to be able to cook. You got to be able to, know how to separate the bedroom from the playroom. It's a lot of things they ask you to bring to the table.
But hold up.
But the thing is, they ask you, are you bringing this to the table? And all they bringing is a hard, stiff one.
But why is you said the new thing about peace at a certain age when everybody want peace?
I'm not knocking it because I'm very peaceful. Okay, I'm not knocking that. It's just that when I hear it repeatedly used as this philosophical demeanor and emotion, why are you single? Because I'm not gonna allow nobody to interrupt my peace.
But do you know what the flip side of that is?
I do know what the flip side of it is. But when I'm looking at you and you on your phone and you going outside and you debating back with a female ninja, you ain't got no peace. Okay? You ain't about to tell me I don't want nobody to interrupt my peace and you debating back on the phone with different females. Honey, listen, you talk about your peace, you become your peace. Period. That's how I feel. You become your peace. Can't nobody walk up in this house and interrupt any peace in this house. You know why? Because I'm already detecting who you are. You ain't getting the address. That's protecting your peace. Protecting your peace is having discernment and wisdom who to engage with and who not to engage with. They ain't gonna get the phone number. They ain't gonna get none of that. Okay? That's when you protecting your peace. You can't be like, oh, I'm protecting my peace, but then you talking to 50 different people who calling your phone and interrupting you, debating back and forth. I personally don't have that to do. I personally, at this stage in my life, I'm not debating back and forth with a man, period. For one, my ex-husband taught me very well. Don't argue back and forth with no man, period. And now where I'm at in life, I'm not arguing back and forth with no man. I'm not doing that. I'm not giving that type of energy. I'm not giving that type of vibe. I'm not doing that. So that's maintaining your peace. Maintaining your peace is like me and Shani when you got 100 and something text messages and 80 text messages and you refuse to allow that to come into your space. That's
absolutely
maintaining your peace.
Exactly.
For real. So when people be like, oh, I'm not letting nobody interrupt my peace, but you got 5 or 6 different females you dealing with, you having sex with, I'm a key person to tell you, every person you have sex with, that's a transferring of the spirit. That's a transferring of whatever they got going on.
Soul ties, energy, all of that.
Whatever they got going on. It's not even about the disease no more. It ain't even about catching no STI. It ain't about catching no STD. Now you catching emotions, toxic emotions. Now you catching hypocrisy. Now you catching demonic spirits that you can't let go. Now you catching people with a poverty attitude that's waiting for you to be the come up for them. It ain't about the STD and STI no more. That's not the main factor anymore. You laying down with people who got some serious mental illness, and you sitting there and they thinking they undisturbed, unpaid psychiatrist, and they laying in bed with you, giving you pillow talk, trying to figure out is they brain stable or not. It's not even, so you got to know who you connected to. That's when you talk about your peace. You got to know where your peace is. Are you a part of your peace? Are you the peace?
You said a lot. My got the wheels spinning. Said a lot.
I'm just saying. I'm just, and I'm not saying this, y'all, like I'm perfect, but I will tell you this: I'm perfect at maintaining my atmosphere. You ain't just coming in my atmosphere interrupting. I can walk in my house, it's peaceful. I can walk in my house, do what I want to do. I can walk out my house, go where I want to go, and I still be a net. But the moment I allow you to come in here and your spirit is foul and your attitude is foul, then I'm giving you the freedom to shift the atmosphere in my house. I'm not doing that.
Little Shaughnessy, where you going?
Or how you know I'm in a car?
Because I
You
can
hear the
tell.
keys.
Where your little butt going?
Oh, I'm going to mind my business.
You know we got to cover down, don't you?
You know,
Oh shit.
I'm about to go. I refuse to tell you my location, but
I
Slinky
know.
Link.
I guess you about to go find your peace, right?
huh?
You about to go find your peace, right?
No, actually, I'm about to go meet somebody. I was waiting till the person got off of work, but I'm gonna go meet them at the bar. So
All right. Be safe.
Indeed, yes.
I will. I'm literally going up the street.
Come here.
I don't even gotta turn, just drive straight.
Come on, see here, Beta. Come on, see here, Beta.
BGS, thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Hey, you know what? I just heard the thing about men wanting peace,
Uh-huh.
and Herbert knows that me and Dr. Johnson working on this thing called male emotional labor, right? Especially for black males, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I've been counseling men and women, man. For God, it's got to be 20 years on this kind of shit, right? Remember the old book called Men Are from Mars and Women Are from Venus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, especially the way it's been taught nowadays, right? That, and, rightfully so. Women are normally the more emotional person, right? But the thing is, women, especially women, the way it's taught about emotional labor, right? They think women are the only one that actually do it. Okay. But I tell the guys, especially guys that complain, right, that why she got to come home, or why do when I come home from work and I've been working 12 hours, I got to sit down, I got to hear all about her day and the kids and stuff like that, right? When I just want to sit down, take off my shoes, look at TV, and take a nap, right? And I told them, if you're a significant other, boyfriend or husband, right, that's your job, okay? That's
Mhm.
how she relieves stress. Women relieve stress by talking, okay? And women relieve especially a certain amount of stress by talking to a male. It can't be a female because they got girlfriends. Says, how come you don't complain to your girlfriends? No, it has to be a male. It has to be a male that she trusts. Okay. And the one thing that I think as I'm thinking about it, the one thing that the reason why they like talking to males is because males have a certain amount of loyalty, right? In other words, you go home and talk to your man. He ain't spreading it to all your girlfriends. Okay, you don't
Right.
have to worry about it coming back in your face. So I think that's something that's really bothering her. She's gonna come out and she's gonna dump onto you, right? And I think guys, especially Herbert probably can tell you because he's a bachelor. The reason that he's not married or he doesn't have this significant living girlfriend because you don't want to hear that every day.
Correct.
You want to come home, you want to sit down, get your peace, and sit there, right, and just relax, have a pleasant, if you want to have a pleasant conversation, that's fine. But the thing is, um, that's the reason why I stopped having girlfriends, okay? Because you just get tired of it, the burden of it, the psychological burden of it constantly, right? She's got to talk about her problems. She got to talk about this. She got to talk about. It's like the emotional labor that you have to do. I remember one time, man, I was gonna have like a sugar baby type thing, right? A woman that's a little younger than me, and hey, come by 3 times a week, baby. I'm hit it, get this much, right? She didn't want it because she wanted to be a girlfriend. She wanted to be able to dump on me. She wanted to be able to unload on me, right? That was more important to her than money. And when guys said, I don't have, I'm single because I want my peace. That's what they're talking about. But thing is, Because every guy I talk to, even every woman I talk to, man, they don't think that they think they're having conversation. They don't think that's emotional labor that you're doing. They don't think that even that because you're over there, she's yakking off in the mouth for 3 hours, and you want to poke toothpicks in your eyes because you just when's she gonna get done with it? Okay, so I can go on about the rest of it, and you kind of, especially if you don't have the tune out button where you turn down the volume, you can barely hear, and then she hits you upside the head. Hey, ain't you listening to me? But women forget that. Women forget that, and the older a man gets, I noticed the older I got, the less I could tolerate it,
Yeah.
and I think what's happening nowadays, especially with COVID kind of separated people,
Yeah.
and
That's why
especially
women get a 29-year-old, because they don't have they have
well,
more calories.
trust and believe, trust and believe. Okay, I'm a man. I've been this has been happening to me since I was 15. Okay, trust and believe. It's all the way down on. I'm gonna tell you this, and this is something that a young guy told me. Right, this guy he's 20. Okay, and he's an athlete. Right, he's played basketball and football, and he was saying the Z's, especially the Z's, the jocks, the Z's that do get women that do get women throwing at them. Right, they're going celibate. They're going monk. They said because the miles on the women and the emotional the stress that are on on the girls nowadays, stress on the women is so high that they're gonna they have to pour it onto somebody, and that's
Yeah.
normally you, and they
Yeah.
don't want to deal with that. Okay, so
Right.
it's not just it has nothing to do with age. So what I'm not saying it's good or bad because both sides have to do emotional labor. The thing is, and Herbert, I said this a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Value your life and attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't it's fine if you want to if it's okay for you to listen to your girlfriend, wife, or whatever, basically drone on for an hour or two every day, or or something. If you let her go, sometimes it can be 5 hours she can drone on if you let her, right? I said, if you want to give it away, fine, but at least know that it's valuable.
Right.
And ARC said the same thing. Attention, my spiritual teacher said it a long time ago. He said attention is food, especially to the female.
Mm-hmm.
Attention is food, okay? Especially if you're a black man, okay? Black men are expected to provide that kind of comfort to their women, right? We're trained to do that. We're trained to listen to you. We're trained to be somewhat entertaining, okay? Because
BGS, one moment, BGS. Anita, does anything that BGS sounds familiar that I said to you?
I don't remember.
Okay. Go ahead, BGS.
I
I'm
must.
sorry.
I
what
must.
one? Go ahead. Go ahead, Anita. What are you gonna say?
I hear what you're saying, but to me, it sounds like the same thing that guys do. They come home, they vent about their job, and they're done with it. I come home, I vent about my day, I'm done with it. We got it off our chest. We're eating dinner, doing whatever we do.
What's it? Okay. What's the difference between men and women as far as use of words? You ever see that study?
Mm,
Men
what are you
use
referring to?
men use 6,000 words a day. Women use 30,000 words a day.
I believe that.
They speak 6 times more, right? So if a man,
We're more expressive.
because this is because men vocalize to express a fact. They're like trying to solve a problem. They're trying to get a point across, something like that. Women are trying to express an emotion, right? Like we always hear that picture's worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
Women are painting your picture about what happened. They're trying to paint a picture about how they felt
Right.
during the occurrence. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to paint an emotion for you. In fact, I had 2 or 3 girlfriends that I expressed myself because I want you to know how I felt at the time. That's why I'm trying to paint you the whole picture. They have to give you the whole story. You know. Did you know?
That's
I think Patrice Neal said it when he talked to his girlfriend. Said the same thing. He said, give me the punchline. Give me the ending before you tell me the whole story. Because I want to know if I want to invest an hour into you. You know. And she'll tell you she got to give you all the setup, all the details, and all the players and stuff like that. Men are not like that. Okay. Well, what I'm saying is, men, if you listen to your man, right, he values that. Okay. He values that. Okay. With women, I don't think women value it the same way. And that's the whole thing, because if you look at the literature, they say men are emotionless, they tune out, they don't, they don't talk, the blah blah, all this kind of stuff that they don't do.
Say some women. Don't say.
No, no, no. What I'm saying, I'm talking about the literature. Listen to what I'm saying. I didn't say some women. I said the literature says. How have you ever seen? Have you ever seen a book talking about male emotional labor?
No.
Have you? I'm asking Anita, and this is her field. Not Anita. Did I get it right?
Anata.
Anata.
I'm Anita. That's Anata.
That's Anata. Okay. Or what I'm
Anata.
saying. What I'm saying. Have you ever seen a book in the field talking about male emotional labor?
No, but it is a couple books out about emotional intelligence of a man.
Emotion. What I'm saying is emotional labor is basically a female and feminist term.
It
Now,
is.
emotional intelligence is different than emotional labor.
Right.
It
If
is.
I'm,
Have you ever heard of the book Women Are Like Spaghetti and Men Are Like Waffles?
I haven't
I've
heard
read
it.
that book, and it's actually like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
actually
what's Gray did?
a
John
thing.
Gray did it in the '90s, called "Men Are From Mars and Women Are
Right.
From Venus," and
Right.
it's based on an old esoteric Menphite theology between
Yeah. Yeah.
Asar and Set and Ptah and the Noon. That's what it's based on.
Yeah.
Actually, if
You are
nobody has,
correct. You don't have. It's not any literature that would base that for men on
Yeah.
the emotional. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the books that are out based on men emotional. It talks about how you guys carry emotional intelligence. So and it basically reverts back how we are emotional carriers, and sometimes we're emotional sabotagers.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, and this is something that I'm trying to get Dr. Johnson to actually start writing about. It's it's emotional intelligence is because we get, especially nowadays, especially since all these shrinks are coming out talking about men are not emotionally intelligent, they don't know how to talk, they don't know how to express themselves, this kind of stuff, and men need to go sit down and learn how to emotionally discuss things and express their feelings, right? And the thing is that what everything that I've read, everything that I've heard, okay, they're trying to get men to express their feelings like females,
Right.
and men's emotional intelligence shows up differently than it does a female. Like we were saying one time, I said when mommy talks to her child, she's trying to make her child comfortable, right? When daddy's talking to the child, he's trying to make the child better. So those two things are opposite, right? So he's gonna push the child, and the child might even cry sometimes, think that,
Hmm.
dad might show up as mean, right? But dad's trying to push him to be his best self.
Right.
When he cries, mommy is the one that's gonna say, they're their baby, and try to make him feel better. Mom's trying to make him feel better, dad's trying to make him better. Those are two different ways of emotional labor and emotional intelligence. Well, but to get back to what I'm saying is that when men say they want their peace, okay, women really don't know how much emotional stress you put on a man by doing, with some of the stuff they do, because it's like water, okay? You talk to us like your girlfriends. We're not women.
And that's like the whole one of the points about women are like spaghetti and men are like waffles, because
Hmm.
men compartmentalize things, and with
Hmm.
women we connect everything.
Yeah,
That's why we have to tell you guys the details
yeah,
before the actual
yeah, because
point of the story.
because you're trying to you're not really, the point of the story is just part of it, right? How you felt about the story is probably the more important part. And that's how, when I used to have my women's channel, okay, they would start talking, okay, and the first thing, and Carolyn Mason, which is excellent. Surprised most counselors that read Carolyn Mason use her, right? She's excellent at this, right? Okay, she says language is really important, especially when you're trying to switch the brain on and off. Okay, when I first started my men's channel, Herbert can tell you, okay, you can't come up in my panel as a man and talk about how you feel or I feel.
Yeah, buddy. That's a no-fly zone.
There's
Can't
no
go
fly
there
zone. No, you're a man. Okay, we men.
Why? Like,
Huh?
what's wrong with that?
Okay,
because
because
it's not masculine.
yeah, it's not
It,
masculine.
but
You're not.
doesn't that teach men like how not to be emotional, like be emotionally
No,
void?
no, no, no.
I feel like I
See?
feel.
See, there you go, and that's
I know.
exactly what he's
I
talking about.
know what I
Let
said.
Yeah.
no, hold on,
I
Anita,
know
hold on,
what I said,
Listen
Herbert.
to
I
Anita,
do.
hold
Listen to him.
on,
See, not listening. Listen to him.
hold
I'm
on.
not listening because I already know what he's.
No, you don't
You
know.
have no idea. You
Okay.
think
All right.
you
Go
do.
ahead.
If I need a
Talk in
hammer,
my good ear.
if I need a hammer to accomplish a specific goal, why am I going to get a screwdriver?
Because you can't find a hammer.
The job is to find the hammer. The screwdriver's not going to work.
Okay.
Oh, the thing is that when you come, when you have, especially in a room of men, right? You're trying to get to a point. You're trying to get to a discussion. And you're trying to get into your masculine brain, right? Your masculine brain is logical. Okay. When you get into feel, you get into your feminine brain. And all people have both sides. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
when you come into a group of men, you're having a masculine conversation. The one thing you leave at the door is feel.
Yep.
Okay. I think. I want to know what you think first. Okay. Then after we get to the crux of what you think about a problem, then we can get into what you feel. I do the opposite for women. For women, I know basically if I ask them what they think, it's gonna go haywire. Okay, we got a problem. How do you feel about that? Okay. Yeah. Well, I was upset and I thought he cheated on me and I was feeling all left out and abandoned, blah blah blah, and get through that. And then after they express it, said, okay, we line up the details. Okay, now what do you think about point one, point two, point three, point four? Okay, after she gets a feeling out, then she gets a chance to organize her thoughts into a logical fashion, and then
So
she
I
can
have a
actually
question.
decipher it. Go ahead.
So you said that men are not, they cannot express their emotions
They
on your.
can. Okay, they can,
So,
but they express it differently.
How do they
but
express it
that's
differently?
how do they express it differently? Because that sounds like an oxymoron.
Okay, men.
And I'm only asking for
Okay,
my 20 plus years of. I feel like I'm really skilled in behavioral mental health to say to someone that I'm not allowing you to express your emotions. We're emotional creatures, regardless how you may look at it. Men may be less emotional, but we're all
no, they're not.
emotional creatures. And that's almost like, to me, that's almost like that Uncle Tom behavior, or that what happens in the house stays in the house. So that's why it's so many wounded men and women, because they're told, oh, no, you can't talk about that. Oh, no, this is how we're going to top this off. We're going to tear it like this. You express this like this way, but don't express. To me, that's, you're trying to dictate how somebody's going
no,
to express their
wait a
emotions.
minute. Don't say what I'm trying to do. Okay,
And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying the
okay.
general
Okay.
concept is
There's
dictating how somebody want to express their emotions.
there's a reason, especially if it's a deep seated emotion that a man has. There's a reason that they're protective of it. Okay, there's a real. In fact, men are probably more sensitive to it. Okay, they only do it with people they trust.
Right.
It's not going to be to the group. It's not going to be to the girlfriends. And basically, Carolyn May said the same thing. Women love to speak wounds. Oh, see how wounded I am. I've been a victim. I was violated at the age of 5, and or this, that, and other. And 20,000 people I know her whole story about how she was violated at the age of 5. Right? Okay. With a man for the same thing, you might get 5. Unless he's really ready to tell the story, tell the whole story to the whole world for a very distinct reason, because he doesn't want to have it happen to somebody else. Okay, one person might know. One person might know. The thing I see that women will not tell, that will not express, it will carry to their grave, is something they're deeply ashamed of. Now that shame is probably it was the one thing the women will lie about and cover up and carry to their grave. I know that for a fact.
And that was something that I had to deal with the whole child paternity thing, is that the mother didn't want to come clean to her son about the situation that led to him being born. And that's the thing that BGS is talking about. See, we deal with things in different ways. In order for a man to be vulnerable the way society wants him, it's just like BGS is saying, he has to confide in somebody that he knows, not believes or feels, he knows is not going to use that to come back and undermine and destroy him. Because once you destroy a man, he no longer exists mentally, physically, or spiritually. Women are different. Women can carry on broken like that. They may not function well, but they will function. Men are going to function at all. They're going to be a shell of what they once were. They're not going to be able to hold a job. They're not going to be able to keep relationships. This is why, and Anita, this is probably something that you can speak to. This is why PTS hits the genders differently. Once a man experiences that type of PTSD, he's done. He's no longer of any value to society, whereas a woman still has some value to society.
It depends on, it's situational.
Yes,
It is situational.
but that's what I'm. But that's what I'm.
Because PTSD has several levels, and it has several scopes to it. We just did a study at Morgan State talking about PTSD, and it has different levels and different scopes on it. And believe it or not, your statement you make it, I don't know if Nita could agree, it's actually not. The statistic is men that have PTSD have more outbursts and anger versus the women.
It's physical. It's physical.
Yes, but you're going to get that though, because as men, our first reaction is physical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just that's a little. Yeah, when you go to explain the whole mental thing, the mental thing works a little differently because the way we're created. And the way we're made up, you can have a woman who deal with depression for 25 years, and you can have, and she'll still function. You can have a man that dealt with depression for 25 years, and he's still stuck in the 80s.
Correct, and that's what I'm talking about.
And so, but it doesn't mean that happens for every man. Some men handle it differently. It all depends. Like upbringing is a huge factor in how people deal with mental illness.
That's true.
Upbringing is a huge factor. You know, I know a family that I grew up with, and the dad had mental illness, the mom had mental illness, the kids did when we were in school had mental illness, and then later on, the kids that are my kids' age had mental illness, and now they have their grandchildren who have behavioral problems, which fall under mental illness, ADHD, and all that. So that stuff is generational, but I know a couple of the family members that are very productive.
See, one of the things that, what I look at when they talk about mental illness and things like that, we are only a situation away from having a mental illness or certain aspects. So the labels that they keep putting on stuff, and I know some of it is due to probably finances or whatever the case
social
is.
determinants.
Yeah, that it doesn't matter. Like, depending on the situation, we're all a situation away. We don't know how we're going to handle if something happened, if you were close to your mom and she just passed away suddenly, or your loved one, your significant other, or your child. So it's just too many compartments.
And on top of that, David, we all dealt with mental illness during pandemic. Yeah. We all dealt with it on a different level, on a different aspect. We all, those of us that was in the medical field, we had severe anxiety. Some people had panic attacks. Some of you wasn't used to not going to the gym, not doing this, and it became a stressor for you, which is a point of mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we all develop something. Prime example, another example. The shooting that happened in Buffalo at Tops. Now you have a whole community who is dealing with anxiety, PTSD, and some sense of mental illness because that trauma happened. So everyone has some level of mental illness. Everyone has some level of a thin line from insanity.
Yeah. Well, Heidegger said this, well, especially years ago. He said that the modern environment causes anxiety because it changes too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stable. Okay, so
100% true.
yeah, human beings and their biology is built for stability. And when you change your environment and change your culture rapidly, there's no answers to it. So that throws the whole society in a state of anxiety.
Yeah.
And something like COVID would do that. Okay, you threw the whole nation out of whack, the whole society out of whack all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the reason why I don't have smart TVs in my house. I still have the old VRTs. I'm just like, I'm at a point now where stasis is my friend. I don't need all of this other stuff.
Yeah,
I just don't.
Yeah.
You didn't say you had a TV with a knob on it, her.
Yes, I did. and I misspoke in a manner of speaking. I have TVs that have knob controls. I have, matter of fact, the TV that I have in my room currently, I still can turn on from the front. I have the matter of fact, I'll show you what TV I have in my living room currently. Just so
The
people can.
thing is, it's the TV. Can you watch the same channels I watch?
No. That's the television that's in my room.
Cable.
I don't have anything. I don't watch TV. I've often said that I do not watch TV.
I don't watch television either, but my TV, I have TVs in every room in my house. Because if guests come over, they'll have that flexibility. My TV's primary. My friend just told me my TVs are primary for music. I will turn music on every TV in my house and have jazz blowing through the house. So I don't know about that whole society piece about the TV. You have control over that. It doesn't.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is what BGS was talking about with consistency.
Yeah, stability. Yeah.
Everybody, when smart TVs and flat screen TVs came out, everybody couldn't wait to get one in their house. Couldn't wait. Mm-hmm. Me, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'll get one when I feel the need to get one. I don't feel the need to get one because it serves no purpose.
You're gonna get one when that knob TV don't come back on because don't nobody fix them suckers.
But who's concerned about that?
I'm just saying it's gonna eventually happen.
But once again, who's concerned? Once again, who is
a window opener?
Who is concerned about that?
Your cats.
You're placing what you think is a concern for you on me. I just said it's not an issue. My TVs play less than 1 hour a day. If I want to listen to music, guess what? I have CD players and radios. I have a cell phone.
Where do you watch your sports on? What do you watch your sports on?
I don't watch sports at home.
Oh, okay.
I go out.
So you go use somebody else's TVs.
I go to if necessary, yes. I go to my brother's house. That's how I socialize. I get out. When I'm home, I'm usually writing, listening to a podcast, or doing something around the house because I'm always into fixing something. I got to replace my garage roof in a couple of weeks before the weather sets in. I just finished my landscape and I got to do some other stuff. I am always busy doing something. Doesn't matter what it is, I'm busy. Sitting around watching TV is a luxury. I just don't have.
You don't need it.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't. That's why when I see people on Facebook, they be like, "Oh, did you watch the movie such and such?" I'm like, I'm not carving out 2-3 hours of my day to watch no movie that all movies have the same plot, the same end, the same actors and actress.
Depends on what movie you watch. Now me, I watch a documentary. The last movie I went to the theater and saw was the Battle of Midway, but that's because I like history. See, I'm more apt to order DVDs of historical things and watch them. Now I'll carve out 2-3 hours in my day to watch this, but that usually is during the winter. During the summertime, I'm out biking. As a matter of fact, today I ate and walked and went and walked around the falls. And you know what the funny thing I saw walking around the falls was I saw very few people that looked like us. And that triggered something in my mind. And David, I want to congratulate you for always pushing your family and your friends publicly. Because I went down to the falls, I walked down Niagara Street, came around the back end, the bridge to Canada, and out of about 4 or 5 thousand people roughly that I saw 2 black people.
Okay.
Offered to take a picture of them, and I asked them, "Where are you guys from?" The guy said he's from the Bahamas. I assumed that the woman was also from the Bahamas. She said, "No, I'm from New York," meaning New York City. I said, "How did you guys meet?" She said, "Internet." I said, "That's a beautiful thing."
Yeah.
Walked around down by Goat Island. I'm sorry, over by Terrapin Point, which is the Canadian Falls, back around and then walked home. And then I realized something. And it's just like Kevin used to say, and Obsidian says, we don't get along. There's a conversation that's going on between us, and it keeps us from even doing things together. Simple things like going out, having fun, just being people. It just doesn't exist, and that's a bad thing.
You talking about black people or
Yes.
in general?
Yeah, black people, yeah. Because I saw Indian people there in groups. They were there in droves. Caucasian people, Asian people, everybody except black people.
Armenian people.
Say it again?
Armenian people.
Well, I can't tell an Armenian from a Hungarian from a Romanian. So I, classify them as
I'm
Eastern
making a
European.
joke, Herbert. Obviously, you didn't get it. I was down there. Remember?
I didn't see you. That's what I said to people I saw. I understood the joke. It was just a real time joke. It's called a rim shot. Didn't work.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is all of those groups of people were down there doing communal things. We don't. For whatever reason, we don't. And then we wonder why there's such a contentious nature between men and women when it comes to relationships. Because we can't even get the basics of community situated. This is why remember what I was talking about at the top of the show, David, with the Caucasian women coming up and asking me the question?
Yeah.
Case in point.
Well, the United States doesn't want a black community to exist. That's part of the reason.
And this is why I make the distinction between the U.S. and Canada, even though Toronto is in my backyard. Because when you cross that border, it's a different culture. As much as we like to say that it isn't, and I have to make this, and BGS, you probably can confirm this, it's the same thing with people from San Diego going to Mexico. It's a different country, different culture.
Oh man, it basically in Southern California, especially the young folks, dating is nuts, right? Because I always laugh when people say all women are the same all over the world, right? and I'm looking at it, and I literally know the difference between difference in culture between all these women. Mexican, Central American, South American, white, Asian. Their cultures are different, and they respond to you differently. And the ones that's most different, in fact, this is confirmed, right? In fact, my mentor, she's been a counselor for 40 years. She says the same thing. Okay, the ADOS or the Negro has the most different culture on the planet. The most different culture on the planet, which is a matriarchy inside a patriarchy.
Well, guys, it's been real, and I'm already.
Yeah.
We appreciate you always joining.
Thank you. I thank you guys, but I have to be up by 4:30.
Oh, we understand.
We understand. Appreciate you joining us. See you next time.
All right.
Yep.
All right, sleep well.
Yeah. But what I would say about the men wanting their peace, it's something that you know, I got damn near 45,000 subs, and most, like 97% of them are male, right? And what's coming back to me, especially after the pandemic and the separation, right? A lot of men are actually forced to go monk. They're forced to be separated, forced out of the dating pattern. Especially the single ones, forced out. And
Wait, can
and
you
this
say
is
that again?
okay. I said during the pandemic, during the pandemic where people had to be separated, right? A lot of men, especially single men, were forced out of the dating pattern, right? They were forced to go without interacting with women on a physical basis for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They were forced in what I call mini monkhood. In fact, during the pandemic, you see it all over the place that these guys I'm in my monkhood, my monk stage, my monk phase right now, right? Where they're abstaining from sex and social relationships, dating, all kind of stuff, right? And the guys that I've been I've talked to that have gone into it, after about 3 months, then 6 months, then they have to go get reintroduced. That's when they notice, okay, wait a minute. Number one, I'm not going to die if I don't have sex. And
Mm-hmm.
number two, I don't need be around women as much as I thought I needed to be around women. And then the third thing is I can't, I got immune to how much stress a woman actually brings to me when I actually have to date a girlfriend, a wife, or something like that. There's a lot of stress that comes with it.
Damn.
Huh?
I said, damn.
No, what I'm
That's a
saying
lot.
is, I mean,
It's
yeah,
a
it is a lot.
it's a
The
lot to
thing is,
hear. I'm saying.
no, what I'm saying is that women have the same thing. Basically, when you take on another person, there's certain things that you got to give, certain things you have to put up with men when you have a man. Okay,
Sure do.
but the thing is, women express it way more than men do, and men tolerate it. Men don't talk about it. Okay, men, once you start having a girlfriend, you get used to it. That's just the way they are. It's worth it, right? Because and if you don't get out of the pattern, you don't realize how much you've lost. And a lot of guys that once they stopped, you know, and then they didn't hear, the daily downloads or this, that, or the other or the attention that you have to give, the care. I call it care and feeding, especially for black women. There's a lot of care and feeding for a girlfriend. Okay. You got to keep her entertained, you got to keep her attention, you gotta deal with her angst, okay, because she's gonna download on you. There's a whole lot of stuff that if she's your sexual partner, a certain amount of orgasm you got to give her. There's a lot of stress, a lot of things that to put on you. Okay, when you get out of that, you don't have to supply any of those needs. Then you realize how much. Then you start counting. When you have to get back into it. I'm not used to hearing her drone on for 2 hours. I'm not used to that. Or uh, I'm,
Well,
you know, yeah, go ahead.
well, one of the, one well one of the biggest issues be with far
Mm,
as men is having that safe space that they can share with other men. A lot of
mhm.
men are not comfortable because they don't have that safe space that they can openly admit their feelings for a woman without being clowned. And unfortunately, it don't even matter what age you are in, because if you're 50 something, you still have some of these same young fools that's now old fools that still clown you, and you don't never had that
When,
sense
when,
of
when you when you say when
comfort.
you say clown, you got to break that down for me because people, black people have different meaning for words. We say
Well,
clown. What do you mean?
like,
When you
making
can't
jokes or
when you
mockery,
can't
whatever.
when
Like
you
if
can't
you
no when you can't perform or you don't give an orgasm. What are you talking about when you say
no,
clown?
just period. Like if you're a guy and you're openly admitting your feelings for someone, you don't have that safe space with guys that could say, they could kind of like, okay, I can empathize with you're saying. They're like, oh man, she got you sprung. She got you such and such. And sometimes you don't need to hear that.
Okay.
You so and that's what I meant by clowning you. They want to clown you instead of saying like he's serious or he really cares for this person or he's openly admitting his feelings. But the guys that's in his circle, they
Okay.
don't adhere
Okay.
to that because they're, make kind of making mockery of it. So
See,
guys don't have that space like that.
well, no, that goes back to how men. Remember what we were saying? How men express their deep feelings to only maybe one or two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, your best your boy. I mean I mean when I say what I say when I say your boy.
Uh huh.
Okay, that it is not gonna go no further than him.
Yeah, and I think that's true. Like you might have a three or four or five ones that you roll with, but it's usually one that you could
Yeah.
tell everything, and they're not going to judge, or they're going to kind of empathize on what you're going through.
Which we know what, and Herbert can attest to this, which why the Black manosphere has
Hmm.
been so popular and important, right? And I think part of it is there's a separation, right? They don't the guys you're talking to don't live next to you. They're not in your neighborhood. Okay,
Hmm.
they don't know you in real life. Okay, okay. So there's a little bit of separation, a little bit of being anonymous
Hmm.
on the internet, right? And a lot of times, guys come on here and they will tell you stuff in a panel, right, on a hangout that they wouldn't tell nobody else. It would
Yeah.
never come out in real life, okay? And we're talking about really deep seated stuff. Now, that's why I call people don't realize the real gift and the real magic of the Black manosphere. People think, oh, you just get together, talk about women and cuss them how you feel. But no, no, really, no. This is a way for guys to have really uh, free group therapy, because
Okay.
group therapy is most about talking and relating.
And this is why I tell people there's a reason why I don't have television in my house.
Hmm.
It's because I I don't want to say I'm wired differently, but my life it's really different
Range,
than the average
yeah.
rank and file black man. I don't
Hmm.
have kids. I don't have any wife. A wife, significant other is marginalized. I own my own home. I'm literally free to do as I want to. Most black men don't have that.
No.
I don't have to worry about, my mother's deceased, so I don't have to worry about a family member coming to me needing something.
Hmm.
My brother's pretty much a self-sufficient. So literally, I am at a point in my life where I don't have to give a fuck about anything or anyone.
Well, the funniest thing, Herbert, is that I got a bunch of women in my family. Literally, I live in what a little mini matriarchy, right?
Yes.
And it's funny, okay, is that especially if they don't have a man, the ones that don't have a man,
Hmm.
if you park and you sit around there for 5 minutes, they start downloading
Right.
for
And
five
I don't have
minutes.
so
It don't
literally
matter. You are you busy?
What?
yes.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
tell people when I come home
Hmm.
and I put my key in that door, it's quiet here. I have 4 cats and it's quiet. People always think why does he have cats? Because they're quiet. For the most part, unless they get into something, they're quiet. I crave quiet. It allows me to think and think critically. Like I said, I'm always working on something, whether it's a house or something. And I have
Shadows fighting.
well, Shadow. That's Shadow. Shadow's a new cat. Shadow's the new cat on the block, and he's dealing with a couple of older cats that don't like to be bothered. So from time to time, they get into it. But I'll accept that because that's something I can control. I can't control the emotional output of a woman.
Yeah.
And that's something from time to time that I just want no part of. And what BGS is talking about, the monk mode, I've been in monk mode for the last 10, almost 15 years.
Mm.
I deal with women when I want to deal with them on my terms, not her terms or anything else. This is why we were talking about the whole situation with Anetta and Shaughnessy reading text messages selectively. That's fine. They have every right to do that. But what it does is it puts a man who might want to engage in something, whether it's just a no strings attached sexual situation or something else, at a disadvantage because now he has to wait. See, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a man, you need to be in a position to where you can dictate and not be dictated to. And
Hmm.
this is what black men have in this country. We're always being dictated to,
We are,
whether it's
yeah,
By who?
by black women
father,
especially.
Oh,
sisters,
No, we
female
I just did.
relatives, job,
Oh,
or whatever the case it is.
we just looked at Tiffany Cross dictating the black men politically. Okay,
Yep.
we just saw it with
Steve.
Malika Andrews It was in Stephen A. Smith. She dictated to him, you know,
Yep.
in the sports realm. That's very, we starting to call that mommying. Okay,
Mhm.
where this is something. It's kind of hard for women to actually understand this, right? Most black women think they can walk in a whole crowded room of black men and have their say and have black men cowed, okay, and have them obey.
What?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. It's called mommying. They get in a mommy mode. It doesn't matter her age. Like when Malika Andrews tried to scold Stephen A. Okay, Stephen A's was in the business doing what is reporting longer than she's been alive. He's 54, 55 years old. She's 27. Okay, he's a senior to her, not only years wise, you know, age wise, but also success wise, financially wise, ranking order in a position. And she thinks that it's okay for her to get on his show and get him told.
Mm.
That's mommying.
And something else that is hidden that we don't see that adversely affects black men is that the female therapist on TikTok
Oh yeah, yeah,
was berating
yes,
her patients
yes,
when
Who's
she
that?
I can't remember her name, but when she was fired, she wants to turn around and play the victim.
yeah. Cruz, yeah. Yeah, I think her name was Cruz or something like
How in
that.
the world does that fly in any other ethnicity except Black America?
Yeah,
Would never happen. You couldn't even utter what she said about another ethnicity's men.
yeah. There's a clip from a comedian um, going around about her dating out, right? And she jokingly, I can cuss, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Where, okay, where no, I don't want to disrespect his room. Where she's telling a joke, right? She said her girlfriends are telling her she should date interracially, right? Open up her options, stuff like that. And she said, no, you know, I don't. That's not for me. You know, I don't think I can do that, right? And so she points to a white guy. She said, "What's your name?" He says, "Alex." She says, "Shut the fuck up, Alex." You know, real loud, right? And everybody starts laughing because everybody in the audience, especially the black ones, knows what she's trying to say. She said, "See, Alex." She said, "Do you?" He asked Alex, "Do you like that?" And he kind of like sheepish, like, "Not really." And and she said, "Alex don't like that, right? Alex a white man in America. Okay, you
Mm.
can't talk to Alex like that." In other words, what she's saying is outside of her community, the only group of men that will take that kind of verbal abuse are black men. She
Right.
can't talk to like that, like to any other group of men except her own men. So 'cause she said
Wow.
she can't date out. She can't. You ever hear of a black woman saying that when they're with a black man they can be themselves?
Yeah.
That's what they mean. She can't be the way she was raised outside of being with a black man because he understands. So she can cuss him out, or she can have an attitude, or she can mommy him or stuff like that. He understands. She's not gonna push back. Okay, he's not gonna push back. He's just gonna slough it off because you know his mama raised him like that, right? In fact, I think I was talking to Rogish, right? He's talking about black men being told they ain't shit, have this kind of this mechanism, right? This what do you call it when you don't feel good about yourself? Um, self-esteem, right? Low self-esteem, right? And uh, and I said, well, Rogus, who was the first person to tell you you wasn't shit? He said, your mama. He said, ooh, that hurt, because it's true. Because the first person to tamp down your ego or tamp down whatever it is in their, especially in their boys, is their mother. In fact, I just got I get this stuff all the time. I got a comment on one of my videos, right? Um, and this guy, he's an engineer, right? And he said to a whole group of black women that his son was smarter, is a better student at this kind of stuff than his daughter, right? All the women got upset. They
Oh
all got
wow.
upset.
Greg, to answer your question, that's more the culture that Black America is set upon, and you have to go back to when blacks were brought here under under the umbrella of servitude. The black man's wishes and treatment were always secondary. It
Yes.
was the comfort of the woman that was more of a concern
Yeah.
because she was producing the offspring.
Yeah.
And that was also one of the ways that black women could actually obtain their freedom. As a black man, you can never obtain freedom. This is
Not
why
like
we always
that.
say
Yeah.
this is why
Yeah.
we always say black men are second class citizens even within our own homes and culture. Is
Yeah.
because it's just the old Dred Scott. America, black man has no rights that America is obligated to I'm sorry, I can't remember the word.
Yeah,
Obligated
no rights that I forgot it too. That a white man is bound to respect. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And one of the things like BGS said, when you hear that stuff from your mothers, and for some individuals, it could play a major part on it. I always looked at those comments like temporary, right then and there, whatever the situation was, right then and there, that you were told you ain't shit or you sorry or whatever the case is. And and again, depending on the individual, that shit that
Uh,
can impact somebody for a long time. But if you're kind of the person that's dismissive and like, okay, whatever, I understand and I'm gonna keep it moving. And that's kind of how I was. If my grandmother said, y'all so sorry, y'all don't want to do this or do that, I think we was always moving and doing something that it never really bothered us.
Okay. Well, okay. Why does it? Okay, if that is the case, and what you're saying is right, and it's just a minor thing, why come it shows up in black boys for the last 100 years? How come black boys are always at the bottom of everything? If it has no effect, how come black boys are always at the bottom of everything? Now the first thing I have to work on is black man self-esteem. I had a guy, right, Theo Waff, right? He's actually teaching black men to actually do IT, right? To program, do. I think it's security, IT stuff like that, IT security stuff like that, because he's been doing it for 20 years, right? And
Uh-huh.
he said he said the work that what this program, the work itself is not the biggest deal, right? He said 90% of the black meat teachers, right? The first thing he has to work on is the belief that they can actually do the work.
Yep.
Where does it come from?
Well, you would think your belief in doing it would come from your parents or your elderly influences to tell you that you could do it. But when I meant that said, I didn't say that it couldn't impact others. I'm just saying like it depends on certain individuals. If you was the type to harbor on that stuff,
Hmm.
it could leave you stuck in the mud. But if you're the type to like, okay, whatever, and you just keep it moving, I was kind of like always we
Well,
was always going to go.
how many are the ones that don't get stuck in the mud versus the ones that do? What's the
I,
percentage?
I don't
Oh,
I
it's
don't
about
know.
80. It's about 80%. Okay,
They get
because
stuck in the mud.
the number, in fact, Herbert knows what I'm getting ready to say, right? Judgy Bitch actually reviewed like a study, okay, and she reviewed one, reviewed four, right? Okay,
Uh-huh.
we know according to the studies, there's about a 15 to 17% IQ gap, right, between black males and white males, right?
Uh-huh.
Somewhere around there, right? That's what they say. That on average, right? Okay, that's the gap, right? What they found out, if you take that black boy and give him a white mother, okay,
About a year or so ago.
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah,
Remember the message I sent to you that
yeah,
if you take that black boy and you put him with a white mother, he
yeah.
excels.
In other
Why is
words,
that?
we'll finish telling the study, and then we'll tell you why. Okay,
Okay.
okay, because it goes back to what we're just discussing, right? Okay. In other words, you give that boy to a white mother, the kid, the boy that would normally have an 85 IQ, and the white boy is about average 90, 95, 96. It gets between a 1 and 2% gap between the IQs, right? Which is the percentage of error. Okay. In other words, virtually the same, just by changing the mother. Okay.
Mm.
And the thing is that, and this is something that black boys struggle with in school, and I'm sure you being a school counselor, you know this, right?
Uh-huh.
How the parents, the mother especially, the mother and the school sees that boy has the biggest indicator of the boy's outcome
Mhm.
as far as educationally, right? Sometimes it's success in life, okay? How that boy is actually seen.
True. That's true.
And this is why I mentioned, and I got this from BGS, full disclosure. This is why I spoke about the Prussian school system and
Mm,
the need for single sex education.
yeah. Yeah. Basically, they knew they've known about the in fact, I'll pull it back out since instead of you guys buying the book, right? It's called the boy problem, right? The sociologists actually proved this back in 1912 for white boys, right? That if you don't tune, if girls, the Prussian school system, especially since most of the teachers are women, okay? If you don't tune the school system for the boys, the women will always do better. And the boys will eventually start dropping out. There was a big dropout problem. This was white boys, okay, in 1912. Because if you leave the Prussian school system as it is, the boys will drop out because they don't see themselves.
Mm.
And women are better at teaching other women. They proved this in 1912, which is why the feminists do not want a single sex educational system for boys.
Mm.
Because they know they're going to have an advantage because most of the teachers are female. And women, as hard as they might try, or very few are actually good at teaching boys, right? They're not boys. They don't boys have a slightly different way they learn. Okay, more kinetic. Uh, they're more competitive. Okay, um, they think differently. They're more fact based. Women are not that way. Their brains don't work that way. Okay, and they've proven basically they've already proven it with the boys academies, right? The boys academies, right? You take instead of 20% or 50% going to college, right? You take the same black boys in the hood, no matter what economic stratum they come from, right? 98% graduate, right? 99% graduate, 98% go to college just by giving a single sex education.
Hmm.
And see, and part of that dilemma is when you think about the whole landscape, that when you think about elementary level, that it's mostly females.
Hmm.
Uh, you barely have, maybe in the fourth or fifth grade, you may have a male teacher, but like first grade, like kindergarten and stuff like that, it's always female teachers. And then once boys start, the sayings of the boys just being boys, when they start hitting third grade, that's when they start, collecting that data, that prison pipeline
Yeah.
data, and looking at them scores, whatever, because they start, as they say, feeling themselves like third grade when they're like 9 years old, 10. But you need more male teachers at that level, which a lot of guys are not signing up for because of everything that goes on in the school system. Like, oh, I'm not about to deal with this, I'm not about to deal with these parents. So most guys rather be at the high school level once they get older. And you may have some that venture off in the middle school level. I kind of got, I ain't gonna say forced, but circumstances happen at the high school level, because I never thought I would ever go to the middle school level. But now I don't think I would ever leave it, because they're hilarious. Just the
Hmm.
way their brains think, because one day they're elementary kids, then the next minute they're grown as hell, and their hormones and all that stuff. But it keeps me young, like
Yeah.
some of the things that they say or do. So I think I can make a difference
Yeah,
on that level.
well, you could start a all boys single sex school from sixth grade on, from middle school on. It has the same effect.
That's true. That's true.
But things we know why feminists always say the same thing. We can't we have to socialize boys to get along with women.
Mm.
It's the biggest claim. Okay,
That's
you
part,
can't.
that's part of the reason why they shot down the My Brother's Keeper program that President Obama was trying to enact.
Yeah.
What is that?
The My Brother's Keeper program was a program that President Obama was going to roll out that was going to focus on Black male education, Black elementary education. And as usual, they said, well, what about the women? And I've asked this panel, this question on this panel before, and I've always said, name one program that this country has ever rolled out that has been for Black males specifically, and nobody else was able to take advantage of.
The one program that was actually rolled out for Black males specifically was actually affirmative action.
Yes, supposed to be. Yes, absolutely.
Supposed to be. The Kerner Commission and affirmative action was supposed to be for Black males. But Black males get what, 3% of it?
Yep. The largest benefactor of affirmative action currently,
white females.
And people always debate me when I say that. I say, don't take my word for it. Look it up. It's there in plain black and white text.
Yeah, and they knew it. They knew it from the beginning. Which you transferred. Yeah, which if you want to point to the one thing coming out of civil rights that actually probably broke up the Black family more than even welfare is that.
Yep. Then people wonder why I talk about, and I got, well, disclosure again, I got this from BGS. Then people wonder why I always talk about Title IX, the Kerner Commission, and the Moynihan Report.
Title IX, the Kerner Commission, and Title VII were allowed to actually for white women to be allowed as minorities. So basically that, you know, in fact they said it, if voting and affirmative action actually went through for Black men, they'll put the tier as white men, Black men, white women, and Black women. Nobody wanted to see that, so they flipped the whole table. So the tier actually exists is white men still on top, white women, Black women, and Black men are at the bottom. That's how come you see this big flip. And if it wasn't still for trades and blue collar work, Black men would be further down at the bottom.
Yep. It's funny. This is for people who remember the movie Malcolm X. When he was in school, what was the thing that his teacher was trying to push him toward?
Trades, yeah. Still the same thing. In fact, that goes back to the Mohawk Conference of 1890, right, when they said black men didn't need an education past the 5th grade. It's because they had no use for it. They're going to go in trades anyway if they learned how to read blueprints. That's as far as they need it. It goes all the way back to 1890, whereas women needed to get as much education as possible because they needed to teach the children.
But to be honest, that's what Black boys need to be probably pushed towards trades at this point, if that's what their interests are, because they like their hands-on stuff.
That was something I was going to implement with my program was I was going to focus when I was rolling this out before I was released. What I was going to focus on was one of 3 things. We're going to make sure these kids are college educated or college ready, because one complaint that a lot of professors have is these kids can't read at grade level.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure they're college ready. So if they want to go to college, they can. I was going to make sure that if they wanted to go to the military, they can. I had the ASVAB material all set up. Yeah. I was also going to make sure that they were employment ready, meaning that if they wanted to go directly into the workforce, they can do that. And I was also going to make sure that if they wanted to go into a trade field, that they were capable. That was going to be the foundation of what I was going to create in terms of the mentoring program. Because I believe those are the core things that any kid needs to be able to be successful, at least in the US. I don't know about the rest of the world. And another thing I was going to roll out, which is why I always talk about Canada, is making sure that the kids who had the aptitude to excel internationally had the opportunity to. One of those things was making sure that these kids had their passports, so we could take them to Canada, so we could get them the experience.
Have their what?
It's about, you know.
Oh, passports.
Well, passports are the key to so much experience for a kid, and that is the crux of growth for a kid. If you give a kid an experience, they're always going to want more of that. Doesn't matter where it is, they're going to want that because it's something different. In Niagara Falls, New York, we have a golden opportunity. When I was in my mentoring program, I told these kids this. I said, you're an hour drive from a world-class city in Toronto. Toronto is the capital of Ontario. It is essentially their version of New York City. we are also a 1 hour flight from New York City. And I always told the boys specifically, I said, I don't care how much attention these girls give you. I said, make sure you get the basics of your education set, which is your high school diploma. From there, you have literally the world at your fingertips. Because once you leave this country, people see you slightly different. This is why I mentioned at the top of this broadcast about the Caucasian woman coming up to me and asking me a question. I said, that would have never happened in the United States of America.
What did they ask you?
She asked me about a food item because she had food allergies and some spicy food doesn't sit well with her. It was a simple interaction, but it spoke volumes about how we're perceived in the US versus the rest of the world. Now, don't misunderstand my position. That doesn't mean that racism doesn't exist and we're not going to be treated harshly in certain places. If you go to China, we're looked at differently. But if you go to Germany, we're prized. So this is why I always talk about, things from a young black male's perspective, because they receive so little. Former mayor who has since transitioned, I had a one-on-one meeting with him, and he said something that was so profound that I wanted to argue with him that I couldn't, because it was correct. He said the worst place for some of these kids is in their parents' home, and it fucked me up. I couldn't say anything because he was absolutely correct. They're not receiving the education, they're not receiving the care, nor the attention that they need to excel.
And a lot of them aren't receiving that human and cultural capital either.
Well, they're receiving it, they're just not receiving
it.
No,
they're not.
Hold on. They're receiving it because they're getting something. They're just not getting it in the way that it needs to be presented to them so they understand what they're dealing with. They're receiving it from a female teaching. They're not receiving it from a male teaching. And this is what BGS is talking about.
Okay, so for instance, I'm the first in my family to go to college. So I moved back here from Texas when my niece was 4. I took it upon myself, not that my family's not, intelligent or anything, but people get busy, parents get busy, whatever. So I took her on nature walks, taught her about the different how to identify the different trees by different bark, by different leaves, took her science museum, planetarium, stuff like that, that she may not have gotten the opportunity to do those things had I not been here. Same thing with my little nephew. When I was watching him over the summer, whatever it was, I instill in my household, I foster a household of learning, a learning environment, but make it also fun. So they don't think they're really learning, but they are really learning because Aunt Nene ain't playing that. You ain't going to just sit here and watch SpongeBob all day. No, you got to learn something, and he's just does his thing. He's saying, Nene, where's my magnets? I want to build a whatever, I don't know, space shuttle out of magnets. I said, what? And his coloring, his words, I don't know how to spell his name. I'm like, oh my gosh. So they retain a lot between 3 and 5. So right. If these parents or somebody just start with them at the age of at least 3 to 5 or at least 5, yeah, I'm thinking we would have a greater America than we do now.
We would.
Because to me, learning at that age, like I said, Aunt Nene ain't playing that. You're going to just sit and watch some thoughtless thing. Actually, he did learn something from SpongeBob. He told me today. I picked him up from school, and he said something about a secret. I said, how do you know what a secret means? What does a secret mean? He said, oh, I learned that off of SpongeBob. Squidward had a secret, and he wouldn't tell SpongeBob. That made me laugh, but ordinarily, I foster an environment of learning. because it's important to start young, because that creates a kind of a structure and foundation for them. So when they get to like fourth grade, they're like, what? I got to learn what? Cursive? Oh, they don't even teach cursive anymore,
No,
right?
they don't.
Right. Yeah.
That's a
In
shame.
public school, yeah, they don't.
That's a shame.
Because they're actually starting to try to introduce keyboarding to kids, because that's what they're really going to be working with for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And I think the tragedy twofold. I think the tragedy of them not teaching cursive, and I tell this to everybody, is the two most important documents that this country is founded on is written cursive. And if you
Yeah.
can't read them, then you don't know your rights. Not only don't you know your rights, you don't know what this country's founding principles are.
Yeah.
And if you really want to get esoteric, it's a way to keep your populace ignorant.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. It sounds hypocritical. If you're not going to teach them that, then we need to remove the thing about signature. Everything should say print, because
Right.
they don't know how to sign after a certain point. So I don't know. I question a lot of
And
stuff that goes
really
on.
most documents are digital anyway now, so most of it's
Yeah.
you know most of it's digitally encoded.
Yeah, it's true.
It's shameful.
Yeah,
And
but the thing, but I had to tell this to my grandson, because I was actually why I have make him write certain things out, right? I said because it helps with your memory, because your mind stores facts, it stores memory in different places, right? Uh, Kinetically, which is physical, sight, hearing, um, smell, and even taste, right? All those things actually work together and actually reinforce each other as far as the experience or memory. So you actually will memorize things faster if you the more senses you actually use.
And that speaks to back in the days when you would have spelling tests that you would write these words out a
Hmm.
bunch of times and
Yep.
stuff like that. So we wonder why kids they don't have spelling tests like they used to, but that used to be the thing. That used to be my thing. I used to look forward to that spelling
Hmm.
test because you get to spell out the words. You would have to write the words in the sentence, and you would understand what the words mean. I don't know what the hell's going on now, but some stuff shouldn't have been eliminated from the curriculum.
Yeah. 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 That's true. Yeah.
this is
That's
why I tell people get involved in your local school boards, because these are the type of things that you can actually push for, even if it's an elective. At least it's in the district and then the curriculum where you can actually say, okay, look, this is what you're going to do. And if you can't get it done in the curriculum, pull them aside half an hour, 20 minutes after school and have them do this. It can only benefit them. It can't hurt them in any way, shape, or form. And to what you were saying, Anita, about what you were doing, Black kids as a whole don't have that.
Don't
Especially
have what?
have a parental figure who would take them outside and teach them that things. Because most Black people, simply put, don't
yeah.
know anything about
Why?
the. We just don't know. It's never in our culture. Go outside and play. That's what we were told. You
I
were
mean,
never.
it wasn't that. That's what I was told. Go make some mud pies. We didn't have no money to get some toys.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even about that. If you ask the average Black person, doesn't matter what the age, they can't identify poison ivy or poison oak. Can't tell you the difference. And as much
Yeah.
as I know, I still can't tell you the difference.
No. Well, yeah. Yeah. You run into it a few times. And get them bumps. You'll remember.
Right. Yes.
Well,
But
So
thing we don't we're separated from nature a lot. So
yes.
we live in wooden brick houses and stuff like that. We have sidewalks. We have manicured grass that wouldn't exist in nature 9 times out of 10. So we're separated from nature.
and
Have
one
an
of the
artificial
things,
environment. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
one of the things I always think about, I think I probably was like in the third or fourth grade, that
Hmm.
one of my he was a gym teacher, but we also had to take swim.
Hmm.
And me and a couple of other Black boys never really wanted to get into the pool and swim like that.
Hmm.
And one of his things used to be like, "Oh, one day you guys are going to be by a lake and you're going to have to swim." And we were like, "By a lake?" Uh, but of course, the cultural relevant instruction
Hmm.
wasn't intact then. That he didn't think like we didn't go on vacations. Not saying all, but most of us didn't go on vacations by lakes. So our vacations, for me, we would go down to Alabama, Detroit, Chicago, but we wasn't by lakes. So we had no incentive to get in the pool to swim at all. We used to say, why we got to take swimming?
Yep.
We just want to go to the gym and play basketball,
Yeah.
football,
That,
or run around. So
and that's the
that was
difference
that
between a boy and a
always,
girl.
yeah,
Girl
that
would
was
just do
always
it.
interesting.
Girl would
And
just do it.
do you know what the real
Well,
irony of that statement is?
What'd you
When
say?
I was in the foster home, I said, do you want to know what the real irony of your statement is?
Uh-huh.
When I was in the foster home in Alcott, and Alcott's a small little hamlet that literally sits on the shore of Lake Ontario, is they didn't have swimming pools in their schools.
Hmm.
The kids went down to the lake and learned how to swim.
Hmm.
I just found that funny because coming from Niagara Falls, where every school had a pool, it was just like, how does your school not have a pool? How do you learn how to swim?
It's called a
That's how
lake.
they.
Yeah.
the
Which is more,
YMCA.
which,
That's
which is
where I
more,
learned how to swim.
which is more
YMCA
practical.
doesn't exist
Yeah.
in a rural area. No such thing.
Yeah. Which is more practical. The reason you learn how to swim is to survive if you get thrown into the water. It's better to
Right.
go to the lake.
Because we're surrounded for as much as people think we're not close to water, we are within an hour drive of two of the Great Lakes. Lake Erie sits on the coast of sits on the shore of Buffalo, and Lake Ontario is an hour drive from Niagara Falls. I've happened to see both of the Great Lakes. Not something that everybody that lives in the Northeast can say, Northeast or Upper Midwest.
Yeah. Well, I live within 10 minutes of the biggest lake on the planet, Pacific Ocean.
That's another thing that I was down at the falls. My nephew, he's they live in Wilson now, so I guess is
Right there.
yeah. But we were down at the falls and on our little nature walk with Buddy, of course. He saw the mist because we were at Three Sisters Island. He was like, "Oh, look, any steam?" I said, "No, honey," because he never been that close before to identify like that's not really steam. Like any little kid would think it's steam, and they like my nephew knows steam means hot. It's dangerous. I was like, "No, it's micro particles of water." And he kind of understood but kind of didn't, but it was just like things that I take for granted because I already know because we used to have the big pool in Niagara Falls, the baby pool, go down to the falls and take a walk around the Goat Island and stuff. I forget that he's just up and coming and doesn't live around the falls anymore, so he wouldn't identify that as mist. That was just like something really triggering to me today. I mean, it was cool, but it was like, wow, how many kids in Niagara Falls don't get to go down here to identify the difference between mist and steam at home from like, the pot boiling on the stove or whatever.
There's a lot of people that live in the city that just simply put, they never go down to the falls.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I always took my niece down to the falls, nature walks. And I remember the biggest thing was how to identify different trees. They have different bark, different leaves, different structure. But yeah, it was just like a light bulb went off today in my head. Like, wow, how many kids in Niagara Falls, like in elementary school, don't get to come down here because their parents don't have a car, they live too far, whatever. It was just crazy.
Yeah, that was the same time I walked around the falls, and probably 25 years, 30, damn near 30 years. I usually bike. I decided.
I showed my nephew that video of the what was it, the violinist or what was it?
They were a music group. I can't recall where they were from, but they were here at a festival that was somewhere. I can't remember where she said.
Yeah,
But
I told my nephew, and he thought it was so cool. I said, "Yeah, my friends, down there." He said, "Let's go down there." I said, "We can't walk down there; it's too far." He's only little; he can't walk that far.
That is a walk. That would be a walk.
Because we were parked at Three Sisters Island because it's free. Yeah, it was too far.
They don't talk.
But I'm still confused about this. What I'm bringing to the table deal.
We're gonna have to talk about that. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We got to talk about that another time. And it's interesting that this conversation brought out so much other conversation. And that's what I talk about. Like, you just never know like what point could hammer in when we're talking about things you take for granted. And one of the things that we went on about is communication. For a while, that certain people have certain methods of communication that they don't abide by. Oh, I don't do FaceTime. I don't do texting. I don't like good morning text or whatever the case is. So it always shows how far apart we are.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry to interrupt you, but I did a real good communication today because after we went to the falls, I took my nephew over here to DeVoe Playground over here by my house. And there was some they must have been high schoolers or I don't know. Anyway, it's a nice little playground for them. And it was just him and this other little girl. She was probably about 2 or 3. And these kids were going, swearing, carrying on. I said, wait a minute. This lady, she is obviously older than me. It must have been her grandchild. She wasn't saying nothing. And we had just got on the playground. And I heard them, in an earshot. We were just walking over there. I said, because if nobody else is gonna say something, I'm cute and all timid sometimes, but I can be witty and when I need to. So anyway, so I went over there. I said, I know you guys know this is a kid's playground, but all this swearing, you see these little kids over here, you guys know that's not appropriate. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm sorry. I said, now go on about your way, go do your business, but I don't want to hear that. These kids are impressionable. So that was my clear communication today. I want to hear all that cursing.
Good for you for stepping up, because most kids, whatever, they would have ripped you a new one for stepping to them in this day and age.
It wasn't about. I would have been like, try me. I there's a certain way you have to learn how to act in certain environments, and if nobody else is going to teach you, and I'm there, I'm going to have to say something.
And the unfortunate thing about that is teaching is about repetition. So you may have put it that, and you only can hope that it resonates, that they learn and grow from that one experience, but it probably has to be something done over and over and over again. And most people,
I bet if they see me and my nephew out there again, they'll remember.
And that could be true. And that's one of the things that why we wonder about struggling in education, because teachers can teach all day long and they can do that, but if it's not the repetition, it doesn't happen at home.
And the thing is, they were boys. They were probably just in like 9th grade or whatever, maybe 10th grade, and there was like maybe 1 or 2 girls, but they were out to the left. And these boys just looked so surprised that I came over and said something to them. And I'm thinking, your parents let you act that way in public? Like, my parents would never. Never.
This dude having a whole puppet show.
I know, Herbert. Creepy creep. Herbert got some fetishes going on over there.
We about to get some closing comments.
No, I
and
still
get
got
a.
more to talk about.
You got to tell. You got to table that.
I'm gonna have to call her. He's gonna
Yeah,
have to
call her.
heat up some pizza.
Yeah, I'm
Those
sure he got some
nachos.
pizza going because right now he want to have a freaking puppet show, and I ain't entertaining that.
No,
It's
that's a
Yeah,
crazy fetish Herbert got going on over there.
that's
Him and his bunny
that's
rabbit.
yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's
What?
yeah. Closing comments for tonight's show, or something you heard, or something that was said, or one of the talking points. Who would like to go first?
Herbert,
he's telling you, I
I
got you,
can't hear
baby.
jack shit. Jack Rabbit is telling me.
Come on,
Oh,
man.
I got you, babe. Oh, thanks, Herbert. You're so sweet.
Without each other,
Oh,
we have nothing. So if I don't got you and you don't got me, what do we have?
I
Me and
got you, babe.
we have nothing. And I like to say, as always, thank you for tuning in. Both and understanding the curves and the gray area.
I didn't hear a word you had to say, Herbert.
Next time. That's because you were talking.
Huh?
That's because you were talking.
I wasn't talking. You gotta
Nita,
speak in my good ear.
you got a closing comment.
Oh, I got a closing comment. Okay, so one of the things that I didn't stop, Herbert. You know I can't concentrate with that cute little bunny talking about I got you, babe. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't get to mention, but I'm gonna make it quick, kind of. During the pandemic, so I'm studying diversity in substance abuse counseling right now. I just started doing research about shit. Now I damn forgot. Oh, how the pandemic affected the epidemic of substance use and substance abuse. And interestingly enough, I found during my little bit of research that people people that didn't even use during the pandemic, they started using because they felt so isolated and depressed. And I didn't even realize like that was a thing because I was doing my heart attack recovery during the start of the pandemic. So, but that was real interesting that I forgot to mention during we were talking about depression and anxiety during the you know COVID hit.
Okay.
And I learned a lot today. I don't know. I don't understand what. I still don't understand what bring to the table means to everybody. Is it a general term? I didn't understand what Anetta was talking about. Uncle Tom something. I mean, this is why I like being on the show because I like being culturally diverse and understanding other people and their perspectives. So thank you again.
Thank you for joining, and thank you for recognizing that there are certain things that you don't understand, because it's a lot of times we don't understand, or things get misinterpreted,
Mhm.
so that we have to explain. But again, my closing comments for this, especially, we honed in a lot about taking things for granted. And one of the things is, as we mentioned, the pandemic. I could say for myself, I I took for granted about just being able to go into work, being in the workplace, for that time. How a lot of times we say, "Oh, I'm glad I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work." But then when you stuck in a situation that saying you had to work from home, it wasn't always pleasant. Now I could see if it was a couple days here and there, but every day, all day, and how I had ballooned up, whatever. I took for granted my health,
Hmm.
because there was opportunities to say, certainly, that I could have said, well, I'm going, because of my role. It's not like I had to teach a class or anything. I could have been working out. I could have been taking walks. I could have been doing this and that. But no, I sat and was immobile and had gained weight to the point that some people, once they got COVID, they got, they got bigger, that they never came out of it. Never came out of it. So I've learned that shit, you don't let nothing dictate whatever. If you still can do it, do it. So there was nothing stopping me from working out or taking walks or whatever the case is. It's not like the weather changed or anything like that. It was still opportunities. Of course, you couldn't go to the gym, but it was still other opportunities to still do stuff to stay fit,
Well,
whatever.
it
And
made it more difficult, that's for sure.
well, you can always, one of the best things you can always do is take a walk.
Well,
You
you
could,
remember how I was taking a walk when we when we had that North Avenue reunion, but I was still out there. I was trying.
yeah, yeah, you can
I was hanging
always
out with my cane, but I was trying.
yeah, you can always go for a walk, and that's good for your lungs and good for cardio. So there's no excuses, and I think, to be honest, gym memberships are overrated now, and I think people are figuring that out. It's overrated, and so so with
I
that
wanted
said,
to acknowledge Greg Hopper's closing thought, parting thought. That's good. I'm
it's
glad
good
to
part of
know.
thought out here in Iowa, in my circle of conservative white friends, there is not one that want to see black men or women fail. And that's a good. That's good that you live in a place that
Of
wants the
conservative
best for
white
everybody, and that's how it should be. We got too much hatred in this world not to want to see other people be successful, because what does the world look like when you have hatred and you want to see other people fail, and it's built on evil ways?
it looks like North Korea, what they did the other
Yeah.
day. You know what they did?
What's that?
It's something they should not have done. Test missiles over Japan.
Yeah, and
And that's going to start another war with North Korea and South Korea. And you know who's in South Korea? American troops.
and that's the thing
Still
that
over
we
there.
do it at a smaller level. When you live in hatred in your communities, whatever, that you become desensitized to certain situations, and people get killed off, whatever, and you just go about your business. And it shouldn't be that way. But that's a different story for a different day. So when I request for talking points, we got talking points. We always have talking points here, and it's not like we have to go search on other people's stuff to figure out, oh, what can we talk about this week. We always got some shit on here to talk about to further these discussions. But with that said, I'm out. Everybody enjoy
Wait,
the.
I ain't out yet. I ain't done.
Oh, you're gonna be done, and you're gonna be talking to yourself, because we out.
We talking to
So
Herbert's
uh,
Herbert's cats. I was
you
only gonna say good night.
okay?
Jeez.
You can still say that.
All right. Good night. Thank you for
Good night.
having me.
Thank you for joining us, and everybody stay safe, be well, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to drop your comments and post in the counselor's corner. And let's continue to build and grow. And even though we're gonna be uncomfortable with situations, that's the only way to grow, is to be uncomfortable. All right, good people. Peace and
Take care.
love. We out for
Good
real
night.
this time. Good night.